Before we begin, we'll have a prayer by Commissioner Martin, followed by the pledges.
Will you bow your heads and pray with me? Heavenly Father, we come before you today to conduct the business of Wilson County. And Father, we just ask that you lead us and guide us and to do the thing that's right for our community. And Father, we just bless those that are here to participate today. Lord, we just ask that you be with the hungry and the needy and send them what they need. And Father, as always, we thank you for being here today and to be alive and to be in your presence. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
We move to agenda item number 3, our public comments. We have 3 people signed up. We have Brian Harden and Monica Forrester. Russell, last name, sir? I can't. Dickerson. And Derek Gauntlett. All right, so let's start with Mr. Harden and Ms. Forrester.
I know some of you do know us from the meeting last week, and just bear with us. We just want to share a little bit. But in November, keep going. In November. Sorry, I forgot my paper. November of 2023, we bought 23 acres out on County Road 120. And since then, we have not been able to get electric or water. Our neighbor will not give us an easement. Friday, we had a meeting with Phelps, again, no water, no electric, because we do not own the road frontage, or we don't have a 40 feet, what is required by Wilson County. Again, as some of you know, on last week, we went to the planning and zoning. Mr. Sellers, our neighbor, they were calling him, correct me if I'm wrong. Luce emailed me and said it'd be June 4th that Mr. Sellers, our neighbor, would come back. We are just here today because, as you can see on the top page, there is our property. I labeled everybody on there. And on the second one is how far away are the electric pole. It is highlighted pink, the pink dot. Since the meeting, our neighbor has put it on the market. The third page is the new survey. As you can see, there's a difference. They take the easement out. And so, do you want to add something? We just have mainly questions, is that if we're not allowed to sell property in this county that is less than 30 feet, how did it happen to us? If it is illegal to do this, who is responsible to make sure that it is that we are resolved and that we're allowed to get electric or water? And who enforces it? Or if somebody can tell us who makes these decisions, because I'm sure you all know I've actually seen pretty much every one of you trying to get these same answers from somebody. We didn't spend this much money to come into this county. We actually live right on the county line of Bear, and we're in Bear, but we didn't spend this much in this county to not be able to do anything with our property. Literally nobody will even speak to us regarding electric or water. We're hoping that on June 4th, something changes. We have tried to buy the property from our neighbor for $40,000. That's what he wanted. We called back later to say, fine, we'll just do it to get rid of this problem. And now I can show you MLS. It's 115 now. When is it going to end?
Sir,
Sure.
any comments?
Do you wanna-
You're good?
She's done all the research, so.
Yes, I'm a landman.
Yeah.
I have researched, I've spent, everybody in the
Pulled
county
deeds, we've
clerk.
got deeds back to 1940.
I've done my due diligence of trying to resolve this matter, and at this point, I have to I'm here to speak to anybody that will help me along in this process. I have been locked out numerous times. I have 5 police reports that he has locked us out. I have text messages, same thing. He will lock us out and just let me know when you want in and we'll come open the gate for you. Since then, the gate is now removed. So we're not understanding what's going on here. So if this is anything, it is awareness when easements come into this court to get signed off on. Every easement has to be a utility easement. As you can see on all 3, the back 2, it only says easement. It does not say utility easement, and that is apparently what is required this day. It is another fight that our attorney is fighting with, but the awareness is that any any warranty or easement that comes across this desk for signing off on needs to be a utility easement.
Thank you. Mr. Russell Dickerson?
Morning.
Morning, sir.
Our property assessments in this county have gone insane. Make no mistake, we understand the taxing entities appoint the board, and that board sets their agenda. We understand that they are doing ultimately your bidding. While the county may not specifically set my home's value, you appoint the board members that gave the directives that did so. They use 2021 construction data to calculate tables for 2022 and apply those to 2024. The most chaotic building period in history, when plywood went from $25 a sheet to $125 a sheet. That's the replacement cost they're using today. They move people into taxing groups they call neighborhoods, which really have no bearing or relationship to where the property is, anything having to do with the property. And then they use that to apply a modifier to jack up the taxes on that property. People with 30-year-old mobile homes are finding themselves saddled with huge valuations based on replacement costs. So they bought a 16 by 72 30 years ago, and the value of that property is now the brand new price at Palm Harbor. And they refuse to accept any paperwork from HUD or whatever that shows that the property is worth less. They refuse to be accountable when they make a mistake, and they blame the homeowner instead. They run roughshod over seniors in our community who lack experience or even mental acuity to combat their assessments. And they're having their homes stolen from under them and deprived of money they sorely need in their waning years. They have, my mom and I, we came up here back in 2007. Oh, man, I'll be in my stack. And we came to a gentleman's agreement with this CAD about, I own a flood control project down on 221, that 223, 221 arch. We get 5 inches of rain. I have white water in my forest. I have a dam that was built in 1920 by the Corps of Engineers. So the entire place is Class A flood zone. We contested it. We finally came to this gentleman's agreement that they would devalue the land, and we would stop coming back every single year contesting the value. And that agreement stayed in place until this year. They took all the caps off. They played some shenanigans to blow up my homeowner's homestead cap. And I've got a friend down here, she's 86. The lot that her husband left her with a little house on it for rental income, she's paying 2 deviations, 2 sigma past the average for anybody else on 5th Street around her. And it has this little 900 square foot house on it that she rents occasionally to transient workers. And now all of a sudden it's where it's come down a little. They had her up at $100,000 for that little piece. Basically everything she makes in rental that was supposed to go towards her income is going to pay the taxes on that property. And this has got to stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dickerson. Colonel Gottlieb, you have the floor, sir.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. On behalf of the American Legion, I'm Derek Godlitz. I'm the commander. I'm coming before you today to invite you formally to our Memorial Day event on Monday, the 27th, a couple weeks from now, 10 a.m. We will be having our motorcade that will meet up at Walmart parking lot at 9 a.m. and then SP about 9:45 to head to the Legion. We will be having this, I think, our 12th or 13th annual Memorial Day event starting at 10 a.m. on the front lawn of just across the street at the American Legion. And immediately following this year, we're doing one different thing in conjunction with the city. I see our city manager here today. We're adding the city is adding the Coast Guard and the Space Force to the wall, to the Veterans Memorial Wall over there. And so there's going to be an unveiling immediately following our ceremony. Everybody's going to be invited to come across the street to the city Veterans Memorial, and we'll do an unveiling with that, and then invite everybody back for free hot dogs and hamburgers. So I hope you guys can make it. Please put it on your calendar, and we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
Thank you. We have 3 other public comments, 2 for agenda item number 13. We're going to save those public comments till we get to that agenda item, and then for number 7. Agenda item number 5, our extension activity reports. Anybody from AgriLife? Sorry. 4. All right, okay. We have some certificates and awards. Hold on, girl. Hold on. I'm sure some of these are your all. All right, we have certificate of successful completion from the Texas Association of County Auditors for Brenda Trevino for having attended the 78th Annual Fall Conference. Judge Whitman had 16 hours for a continuing education. We have, again, Ms. Brenda Trevino successfully completed 21.5 hours of educational training at the County Auditors Institute. Another one for Ms. Trevino for Leadership 254, you completed. Well, congratulations. That's quite an accomplishment. So now we have 2. You and Commissioner Martin have completed?
We did
You didn't do 254?
No.
Okay. I stand corrected then. Hers is probably higher than yours. So, we have Amanda Bravo, completed 20.5 hours for the Auditors Institute. We have Mr. Frazier, James Frazier, completed his certificate of course completion on Open Meetings Act, so he's part of that Wilson County, the newly formed committee of the Wilson County Economic Development Committee. Also, Mr. Talley completed that course. Marcela Leajas completed the same course. Audrey Kalick completed her professional College for New Court Professionals, 17 hours. Georgina Lita completed her Security and Privacy certification for CGIS Online, and so did Ms. Gail Ritchie. I think those are all that we have. All right. Now we move to our county extension agents of AgriLife. You have the floor.
All right. Good morning. So we just wanted to do some updates from, I guess, last month when we were up here. So on the adult programming side, Nicole's been working hard with the child care conference that she did. She still has several car seat installations that she's been doing and setting up. We did finish spring roundup and all the things. Then on my side, we did Stewardship Week in conjunction with NRCS and the State Soil Board. We also did our multi-county reproduction program. We did our principles before practice, which is part of EQIP. So those producers will get some EQIP points if they attended the program. Then we had our Beef and Forage Field Day at the Kosciuszko Community Hall and had about 40 people in attendance there. We also, did our Spring Producer Workshop and had about 23 participants there since last time we stood up here and talked to y'all. And then I also was in Brownwood for our Professional Association board meetings with our leadership team and all of those fun things. So that is the adult programming side of Extension. Any questions that we can answer on that?
Yeah, you're going to have an addition to the family, right? That's coming in, another agent coming in. When is that going to happen? Possibly. Can you tell me when that may happen?
June, we think from what we've been told, there's some miscommunication happening above us, but June 1st plus or minus.
Okay.
Because we did have our intern Abby, and she is graduated and hopefully gonna go do super exciting things, but this program,
What will that person do?
we're gonna figure that out.
Oh,
We're, as you can tell, we do a lot, and so we're gone
I know,
in
yeah.
June and July when they're gonna have her
we're
here,
having to find
so.
a place for that person.
Oh, that's a whole nother conversation.
Oh, did I just open up a can of worms there or what?
No,
Okay,
no,
let's talk about that.
we'll talk about it.
All right, okay, all right.
So on the 4-H side, in April, we had our spring roundup, which we had about 65 kids compete, which that was livestock judging, plant and range ID, and consumer decision-making held in Fredericksburg. And then for our rifle contest, we held that in Wilson County at the show barn. And about 40 of those kids of the 65 competed in rifle. So we host people from all over to come to that contest for our district. In April, we had 2 events for the homeschooled youth in Wilson County. One was our water fair, which we held out in Helton Park, and the other one was our Ag Education Day, which was held at Red Barn in Seguin. And then last week, we had 3 water fairs for 3 of the elementary schools here in the county. And back in April, we also went to Floresville North and we set 93 eggs in 3 different incubators. And tomorrow's hatch day for our little first graders. So hopefully we have some chicks, but that's what we're doing. Kids.
Any questions? Jim?
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Agenda item number 6, we have Doris Morales from Camino Real Services, discuss take action on proclaiming May as Mental Health Awareness Month in Wilson County. Ms. Morales?
Good morning. Thank you for having us here. I'd also like to include Belma. She's a part of our Camino Real team as well, if she could come up here as well. I feel like I was just here yesterday from last year. I mean, we're
You
not.
were here yesterday?
No, I
That
feel like I was
Sunday.
here yesterday because I'm here again from last year during the proclamation, so. If it's okay, I'll go ahead and get started. If y'all have the copy in front of y'all.
Yeah, I do. So there's a little confusion here.
Okay.
Okay, so we have 2 proclamations here. One of them, they're both for the same thing, but different wording. This is the last one you sent us.
Okay, this one, right here.
Okay, so I think this is the one that we need to sign. Goes with this one.
Yes.
You agreement with that? Because we're going to put them in record together.
Okay, that's fine. Mhm.
Right. You may proceed.
Okay.
Sure.
Good morning. I don't know if it reads the same, but I do have the one that you were saying.
That's it.
Oh, then let me have this one, okay. Oh. Is that the one you wanted to, is that the one you wanted me to? That's the one? Okay. But that's not the one I was supposed to read.
You want this one to read?
Sorry. The first one, right, with my signature on it? Okay, just to make sure, right. Whereas in the vast landscapes of South Texas, mental health stands as a cornerstone of our collective well-being, deserving of recognition and support. And whereas it is crucial to acknowledge the unique challenges faced by rural communities where access to mental health resources may be limited and the stigma surrounding mental illness may be particularly pronounced. And whereas the resilient spirit in Wilson County is undeniable, yet the prevalence of mental health challenges within our communities cannot be overlooked, with many of our children and neighbors silently grappling with the burden of mental illness. And whereas the harsh reality of suicide casts a shadow over our region, with Texas bearing one of the highest suicide rates in the nation, exacerbated by easy access to lethal means such as firearms, which contribute significantly to the tragic loss of life. Whereas, with early and effective treatment, those individuals with mental illnesses can recover and lead a full, productive lives. And whereas, fostering a culture of compassion, understanding, and support for the mental health is paramount, as is advocating for increased access to mental health services and resources tailored to the needs of rural Texans. And whereas county officials, city officials, law enforcement, first responders, healthcare organizations, school district staff, share the burden of mental illness and has a responsibility to promote mental health wellness and support prevention efforts. Whereas, by proclaiming May as Mental Health Awareness Month, we affirm our commitment to promoting mental health education, reducing stigma, and supporting those affected by mental illness as we strive toward a future where every member of our community can thrive. You read that? Yeah.
All right, Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion for agenda item number 6.
I'll make a motion to approve the proclamation declaring May as Mental Health Awareness Month in Wilson County.
Second. Motion made by Commissioner Martin, seconded by Commissioner Aiken. Is there any other discussion regarding agenda item number 6? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you so much. When I get that back, we'll have it signed.
Okay, thank you. Mhm.
Well, don't walk off with it. We need it.
Can we get a picture?
Sure, come on up. Oh. You gave me the wrong one. Green.
She's this kind of adopted family. Son, sister.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you. Pass that down to you. We move to agenda item number 7. We have Commissioner Aiken, Precinct 4, discuss take action on entering into a contract with the Stockdale Independent School District for the purpose of providing a school resource officer. We have one public comment that we'll go ahead and take now. Mr. Jim Burdette.
Thank you, Your Honor. Commissioners, past and present, in my precinct, Honorable, I am glad to hear that in the 24 years that I've lived in the county, that our sheriff's office is now fully staffed, maybe even a surplus, to have one deputy assigned under contract to a school district as a school resource officer, as mandated by House Bill number 3 last year. I hope that the school district can compensate our county for the full salary and benefits package of that deputy, as well as the expense of having another deputy certified in that 80-hour course to fill in for the first deputy when he or she is absent, sickness or vacation. I could imagine that it'd be convenient for that district to do it this way rather than hiring their own retired police officer and certify him. But I don't see the benefit for our county. And I think that, and I hope during your discussion that it comes out that these concerns that I have over the budgeting are met, and as well as the other questions about our staffing. I want to commend the sheriff for the first time having a full staff, because it's always been a shortage of keeping enough deputies to demand the four 5-man or 5 deputy shifts. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it, Commissioner. Attaboy from my commissioner. He's picked up the ball that my old commissioner left off, and you're taking care of us, and I thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Judge. Commissioner Aiken, you have the floor.
Sheriff, I'm going to give you the floor to be able to discuss the contract.
Before we discuss the contract, I believe I'll open the floor to Mr. Caldwell, because he's had the contract to look at it and see if the county has any issues with the contract that we've got with, that the Stockdale ISD has presented us with.
I'd rather hear from you first, sir. Go ahead and tell us what this is about.
Okay. This contract is basically to provide service, which we are providing right now on a off-duty basis to the school in Stockdale. The city, no, not the city council, the school board has asked for a full-time dedicated officer to that school. And they have, in discussion with me, we came up with a 70%, 30% split on the funding of that officer. This being because my office would get the 30% difference when that officer's not working at the school. Don't know what else I can add to that contract.
Sheriff, my understanding,
Give him the mic, sir. Can you have the microphone?
I'm sorry. I'm pretty loud, but my understanding was that your agency already provides services to Poth Independent School District, where Poth actually contracts with the deputies directly as independent contractors. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, it is.
Then why isn't that an option at this school?
That is the way we are functioning right now. The school board came to us because they wanted they wanted a person dedicated to that, the same person. They want one person instead of numerous people. And that was their decision. I mean, I look at it as being an advantage both ways. For one, having that's there all the time, that they can actually learn the intricacies and the personnel. But by having alternating people there, you also get more comfortable with the school. So if you do have to respond, everybody has worked there at some time. But the school board chose to go the route that they have one person that they get to know and that they're comfortable with.
Is this a new position that you're asking the county to approve?
It is a position that I would, in fact, be asking the county to approve. Right now, I have the vacancy to supply that position, and then it would be up to the commissioners and the judge to see fit to grant me that position back if I give that position to the school resource officer.
You have the vacancy right now. Are you fully staffed in patrol, sir?
I believe I am one short.
Okay, but you have three, and the three cadets, have they gotten out of the academy?
No, sir, they have not.
So are you 4 short or 1 short?
They're on staff. They have not got out of the academy.
But they're not on patrol.
No, sir, they're not on patrol.
Okay. Are you fully staffed in the jail?
I am not sure right now what my status is at the jail, sir.
But you would agree that we're not in budget season yet. That starts next month, right?
Yes, sir.
And this contract doesn't start until August. So wouldn't it make much more sense to put this in your budget request for next year?
School starts before August. If I'm going to supply that position, I need to know if that's where I'm going to do, regardless of what budget happens. To me, security at the school's utmost.
But they're already receiving that right now directly with the deputies. They're paying them kind
Yes,
of
sir.
like Poth is.
Yes, sir.
So that's not a concern right now.
No, sir.
The cost of this contract is $55,947.46 per year. The cost to the county for a deputy is $72,214, and the equipment and vehicle as well. The county will actually lose the ability to patrol countywide by having a dedicated resource assigned to a specific area. And we're not being fully compensated for that. Why would we do that?
The school resource officer works 180 days a year. At 9 hours a day, that's 1,320 hours. I believe my average is like 2,100 hours per year. The net's difference would be like 700 and something hours that they would be on patrol for this county.
This contract, when I got it from you over the Friday, it actually identifies the Stockdale City Marshal in the signatories. Is the Stockdale City Marshal involved in this somehow?
No, sir. They were.
And the Stockdale City Marshal has primary law enforcement jurisdiction for Stockdale Independent School District.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why wouldn't they contract with them?
That is an issue between the school board and the city of Stockdale.
Okay. I have no further questions, but I would recommend to the court that they reject it at this time and have the sheriff present this in his budget. Because mid-year budget adjustments are highly disfavored, actually illegal. They have to be for emergency reasons, and I'm not hearing an emergency reason here.
I have some comments. You want to comment first, Commissioner? Actually, I have
I'm
some
not
questions.
seeing what you have on mine. On where do you have a signature from the city marshal's office? That doesn't say marshal's office, it says city of Stockdale.
Okay, the city of Stockdale, why are they involved?
Are they involved because we're wanting to know that there's transparency going on between the city of Stockdale and Wilson County? I mean,
I couldn't speak for why that terminology is there, sir.
by signing this agreement, is it going to cause us to go over budget?
No, sir.
If there's an emergency at the city of Stockdale's school district, are we going to be primary responders?
Yes, sir.
What's the staffing like of the city marshal's office in Stockdale?
One full-time, I'm not sure how many part-time.
And he's in our office. Would you like to speak to this, Marshal?
What's your question, Commissioner?
Why are you not providing the service and we're being asked to as a county?
That would best probably be discussed because there was some personnel issues involved, and I would feel more comfortable discussing that in a executive session because of the personnel issues.
Are you truly at a staff of one right now?
Yes, we have one full-timer, that would be me, and I have 3 part-timers that primarily work nights.
And how many shifts, how often? You know, I'm trying to get a feel for the strength of your office versus the strength of the county.
I usually come in around noon, so there's no coverage in the city before noon. And then I'm usually out till late in the evening, midnight, between 10 and midnight,
7 days a week, not
Six.
necessarily during the weekdays,
6 days a week normally.
6 days a week. Okay. So definitely a gap on being able to provide any first response to the school.
Yes, sir.
Sheriff, why were we asked to be able to provide this service at Poth ISD and Stockdale ISD?
Because they're required to have security.
They're required.
And I have the biggest staff.
Okay.
I have the most personnel to be able to provide that.
Do you feel like you're taking a burden off of their shoulders by providing these services and burdening the taxpayers of Wilson County? Or is this something that we're gonna end up having to take care of anyways if there's an emergency?
It's a little both. I mean, I don't consider it a burden to the county. Everybody that lives in Stockdale ISD just about is a taxpaying or resident of this county, and they deserve our service.
So the taxpayers in the municipalities also pay county taxes,
Yes, they do.
being double taxed?
Some think so.
Some think so. Okay. So anything else you'd like to speak to in reference to this?
No, just that my office is dedicated to nothing but the security of that school, or any school for that matter.
How long ago did you get a contract to their office?
Over a month and a half ago.
Okay. I received an email Friday afternoon about, I'd like to take a look at the contract.
Yes, sir. No, it's been here for a while. Yes, Judge.
More issues with it if we're really gonna get in the weeds.
Okay.
Okay, you have liability problems here in this contract that don't track 791 or the education code. If you wanna get in the weeds on it, this contract's assigned Wilson County liability. The education code in 791 state, for the provision of law enforcement services, it remains on the entity requesting services. So why is Wilson County going to actually have to pay additional amounts to provide a deputy for one specific area when he has a duty to the entire county, and we're eating the liability there?
I could see the additional liability, but I think the sheriff has already been able to prove that we're actually gonna get the better end of the deal as far as the percentages paid, and us having an officer during the summertime, 3 months, 4 months. Now, if that was a concern, why didn't we hear about it a month and a half ago?
I just got the contract Friday.
I,
Evelyn's not here, I'm here today.
okay.
Yes, sir.
So Evelyn had the contract for a month and a half,
I
and
have
you
no
just got
idea.
it on Friday.
I have no idea, that's what he said, but I do know this, it's a mid-year budget adjustment. What's the emergency? What's the emergency?
Do you have staff to be able to fill it?
Yes, I do.
And so if you have the budget item already in place, there's not a conflict.
Not in my eyes, no, sir.
Let me say it better. You just said it right. If he's got the staff in place and the money budgeted, he doesn't need your permission. He can do whatever he wants with his deputies. He can put 10 of them at Stockdale Independent School District if he wants to. He just has to explain to his voters why he does that. This is a contract asking to adjust his budget. That's the issue. He doesn't need your permission. He can assign patrol wherever he wants to put them.
So with that being said,
Is a contract necessary?
is a contract necessary?
Okay, so I need to ask, I've got some questions. I'm gonna take my judge hat off, and I'm gonna put my security company, which I'm licensed to do. I do a lot of risk assessments and vulnerabilities to huge corporations. Haven't done it for schools. I've studied Uvalde carefully. And Marshall, I'm gonna ask you a few questions here in a minute, because I thought about this all weekend. I always said this, if you have one officer on that campus, how many officers do you really have? Zero. Zero. He comes on at 12. This would be a better fit. We have that funding from the volunteer fire department that we could fill the void easily with this. It needs to go right under that marshal, that city marshal. Both of them will know exactly what those schools look like. If you put a new deputy in there, Sheriff, let's say, and you explain to me, if that school resource officer gets sick or has to go on vacation, who's going to fill it? Well, we'll put a deputy in there. Off the street. Now, they're off the street from countywide. Wouldn't it be better that that employee go under the marshal? Now you have one officer, you got two officers to respond and are familiar with the school. You had 50-plus officers in Uvalde School, and none of them did anything for almost 40 minutes. Confusion, because most of them didn't know what the hell school looked like in that school. So if your deputies aren't familiar and they have to respond over there, you're in trouble. And Stockdale's way out there. The response time is going to be terrible. I still think it's better to go under the marshal's jurisdiction, commission them under him. The funding, that $27,000 from the volunteer fire department can fill that void, but it really needs to go under, my opinion, under the city. So can you tell me what's with the city and the school board? Is there some kind of problem between both of them?
As the marshal said, I'm kind of aware. I did not participate in any of the exact dealings when they were discussing continuing this, because that's the way it was prior to this year. It ran under the city marshal's office.
Okay.
And that difference, I can't speak to exactly what the cause was. I did everything I could to keep it there. To me,
Right.
just like you said, it makes sense to me to leave it there. But
Yes,
if
it
those
does.
two
It's-
entities can't discuss
It's
it,
very
we
much
need,
common
we
sense.
need to supply it.
And first of all, I want to let you know, there's nobody here on this court here that doesn't, taking care of children and their protection is paramount. We not just think about the children, but we have staff that's in the school. You talked about 180 days, so I assume that you're going to let the deputy patrol someplace else in the summertime, but you still have, teachers go home for the summer with it, but you still have administration that stays there. Who's going to protect them? Because anybody that's going to do harm, not going to worry with their children or not, they're going to go in that school and do harm.
But the whole deal, Judge, is we don't supply that now, never have. Once school's out, the only time they request us security is during school.
But would
That's a
you agree
question
with
to
me,
me that-
Sheriff, wouldn't it be feasible to go underneath the marshal, let him have a deputy marshal that's the school resource officer? Now you got it fully covered for the whole year.
Takes a liability off the county.
If I may add something, when we did have the city contract, Judge, the commissioners, it was pretty much the same contract that you see now, only our officer did not work during the summer or school break. So he didn't work during the 2 weeks that, he only worked the 180 days. So the school did not request anybody there during admin days. They only wanted somebody present when the children were on campus. We were changing the contract to something very similar to what you have here, and we met resistance personnel-wise.
Why?
He didn't want to work the extra hours.
Basically, he refused to go along with the new contract.
Well, then you find you a new marshal,
Well,
deputy marshal.
there was some, when he resigned, the school board decided to go with their own ISD police department. That wasn't feasible financially and several other aspects. So they initially came back to me, and the city felt like the city did not want to go back into a contract with the school. So they started to contract with the sheriff's office for off-duty officers to work at the campus. That went along for several months, and then they decided that they wanted one person on campus to be able to know the kids, that the kids would be able to know and talk to, know that they could have an advocate there, and they decided to go with this route. This is what the school district has asked for, as opposed to, from what I understand, Poth has not yet asked for this. Who knows if they ever will, but this is the way the school district wanted to go.
So I'm glad you brought that up, Marshall. You know, my security officer, Officer Hawkins, works Poth off duty on Fridays. I have no security in this building, and I have a judge sitting in that chambers right there. And they're bringing prisoners up here all day long. You know who the security is here? Because as far as I know, I'm the only one armed. I'm the security here on Fridays. I have no problem with that. I can take care of the courthouse. I just think it lies within your department. Be glad, I would be one vote. I can't tell these gentlemen how to vote, but to have that funding go over to you, to supplement you, to have a deputy marshal to be that school resource officer, so that they're absolutely familiar with those premises, absolutely. And there's no hesitation when you go in that door. None whatsoever. I'm a little worried about having to pull a deputy off the street to work that position, and may not be familiar, because Sheriff, I mean, you got 3 in the academy. I commend you. You did a good job on that program. I can't wait for them to come online. But if you're not familiar with the premises and you're in a tactical situation, you are dead.
Judge, that is one of the reasons for having one dedicated deputy there at the school. They're familiar, I'm familiar, although like I said, I don't usually come on till noon. The deputies that have been working there throughout since November, I believe, on a rotating basis, they're all familiar. They've all walked the schools. They've all got access cards.
So I'm going to ask you, Marshall, what would be the problem if we supplemented your city with that $27,000 that went to the volunteer fire department to hire you?
That would be a question for the city council, because we would basically be creating a new position. And I don't know that the city council would want to revisit that.
I don't see how they'd turn that down. That's extra security for their town, law enforcement. I don't understand that. That's just beyond my comprehension right now. Why? Why did they have to burden the sheriff with that?
I think it was that the school district asked the sheriff's office to do it.
And understood, and he, like us, we want to make sure we take care of the children, they're safe. But then the liability thing is something I can't cross that hurdle. I'm a little worried about that because our council's already said that, and I have to go with what our council is for the county.
And sir, I want to add, it's bigger, it's not just a liability, it's a duty issue as well. There's a duty question here. Wilson County has no additional duty to provide specific law enforcement services within that specific area, nor does they, okay? The school is the one that has to worry about the safety of the kids. We are law enforcement, we're responsive law enforcement. So I'm not quite understanding why the school wouldn't continue to do the contracting with several officers, so you have a body of people that after a while are familiar with this school, and they're paying them directly. Their authority falls directly to the school during their times there, as opposed to creating a situation where a different political subdivision is having to do this for them, and these officers wear 2 hats because they report to that master there and this master here, and the liability gets strange. So I don't, the duty here is with Stockdale Independent School District.
If I may, this is not unusual. Guadalupe County does it with their schools. When I worked in Galveston County provides, they have an entire division that is a school division. They provide security for all the schools on the mainland. They've got a sergeant that's in charge. They've got school resource officers on each campus. Guadalupe County, just to the north of us, does the same thing. So it's not unusual for it to fall on a county.
Livonia does it too.
Livonia does it with the city, yes.
Because the city is the primary LE agency for it.
So hence is why I say it needs to be in your
I can't answer for the city council, I can just answer for conversations that we've had.
And we would support that if it was under you.
Okay.
We have that funding that could be parked with you.
I can bring your concerns back to the council.
Right.
Court and sheriff and marshal, I'm not against the concept. This agreement needs work. It's out of season. This is something we can discuss during the budget. He's got the available funds, he just said, so he could start them in August if he wanted to, and then the additional kick-in from the county wouldn't start till October. This is not something that necessarily needs to be decided today and risk violating, the budget laws.
Mr. King?
Gents, so 2 grants that I know of. Did the school apply for these grants? There's a SAFE grant, which employs employing school district peace officers, private security, and school marshals. Did the school apply for that?
I have no
do you know?
knowledge of that.
School needs to apply for that. There's also a criminal justice grant out there as well. Both these grants right here provide body armor. They provide different types of deals.
Now, I know we partnered with not meaning to interrupt, sure, we did partner, my office partnered with the school for the rifle shields.
Okay.
And that grant was approved, and we have, the rifle shields came back to me, I'm responsible for them. I have one of them in my car, one of them in the deputy's car that works at the school on a rotating basis. When they get off work, they put it in the office. When they come on duty, they pick it up and put it in their car. And then the other one, I believe, is with the supervisor at the sheriff's office. So we are working hand in hand with the sheriff's office on the school safety issue.
With these 2 grants, though, that puts a lot back into, I'm gonna go back to the marshal, okay? It goes back into your part of the community to help you with that extra marshal. So it doesn't cost a whole lot. I didn't know about the 27,000 that we're talking about, but it doesn't cost a whole lot that or whatever that number was. Whenever the ISD and your board or the council of Stockdale need to sit down and talk, okay?
If I may, sir.
Go ahead.
I think one of the questions or one of the issues that we've had over the last several years is if anything happens at the school, because of the size of my agency, and I don't have the resources that the sheriff's department has, anything CID related ends up going to the sheriff's office. Anything evidence related ends up going to the sheriff's office. So the sheriff's office ends up taking the lion's share after the initial report. And sometimes it's easier for the deputy that's on the campus to take that report so that there's continuity with the investigation and evidence that goes forward that ends up going to the court. It's all one agency as opposed to me doing a report and then getting on the radio and asking the sheriff's office to send me evidence text, to send me CID investigators and all this other stuff. We work hand in hand. We work very closely together, my office and the sheriff's office. But it was just, as far as the school, it was taking an extra step out of the process.
Gotcha. I'm hearing you. I am. But I'm asking about 2 grants that nobody knows anything about yet. Okay?
Yeah,
That's
it's
probably step 1 right there is Stockdale needs to start looking at some grants. Okay? Because that's definitely going to help our community, no matter what. Okay? This will cause a ripple effect. I've talked to both, all right? I've talked to Floresville. I didn't talk to Livonia.
I did.
So it is going to cause a ripple effect, and Sheriff, I'm going to let you know as soon as this happens, if this is what we decide as a court to happen, Poth is going to be hitting you up, Floresville's going to start hitting you up, and I don't know what Livonia's going to do. So can you afford 15 more deputies on your staff right now?
I can't afford them, no, sir.
So that's what we're going to.
I don't have 15 positions.
Correct. That's what I'm getting at. That's the ripple effect that's going to start. So
Also, just to let you know that this salary is above what Floresville ISD police officers get.
Way above. Who's gonna pay for the training for both deputies? Because if one goes out sick, one goes on leave, you gotta put them.
All of my deputies, I believe, all of them have the school-based resources training already because they do work it. That's already done.
Okay, so you have the 80 hours for all your deputies.
They all have to take that class in order to work there.
And there's no summer school covered. Y'all don't cover summer
They-
school at all.
Up till now, they have never questioned summer school or admin days.
Hey, Sheriff, there's one other thing. You're already stretched. You are stretched with the deputies that we currently have, right?
Yes, sir.
How can we add more responsibility to your team? Hence, I'm just now hearing that you have 3 part-times, Marshall, right? Is that what you said a while ago? Did you have part-time guys? Or are you the only marshal?
No, myself, I'm sorry, I thought you were talking to the sheriff.
No.
I have 3 part-timers that work in the evenings because they all have full-time jobs elsewhere.
So I didn't know you had 3 part-times as much as you and I've talked. I've never asked you that.
Yeah.
Right? So, but that's kind of where I'm at with the judge as well, is that's why I would push that onto the Stockdale side, because the sheriff is stretched. Ladies and gentlemen, the subdivisions we got coming in, he needs more deputies to cover the county. And that's the reason we're talking to the marshal as well, because marshal, you had a position that quit, right? What happened to that position? Did it get voided, or is it still sitting there just not paid?
It got voided, sir.
Okay. So that's something to talk to the board about as well.
Okay.
Sheriff, you say you're fully staffed, but I know this past Tuesday afternoon, one of my employees called for a deputy. It took an hour and a half to get a deputy out there just north of Livernia.
Yes, sir.
And you're fully staffed. How many deputies do we have in the county at a given time on the day?
Right now, I have those ones that are not on the street yet. Technically, I'm staffed.
How about that, are on the street, boots on the ground,
Right now, I try to have at least 3 a day, 3 on a shift per day.
covering the whole county?
Yes, sir.
Do you feel that that's enough?
No, sir.
But yet we're talking about taking one and putting it at the Stockdale School.
Yes, sir.
Vernia's already questioned me, if you're gonna do that, then where's ours?
That's a question that's a question that if we open that can of worms, then I guess I'll have to deal with. Right now,
Livernia has applied for those grants and got those grants that you're speaking of.
and Livernia, the city of Livernia, the PD covers that school on their budget. I take it. I have no idea what the deal is between the school and the officers they
Paid for
provide.
those 4 deputies and patrol cars
Okay,
out of their budget.
see, and that Livernia's a big school, got a big budget. Stockdale and Post don't. I don't know about Floresville's budget that much.
We got a duty to the whole county, not just one.
And we may, if we went that route, it may be something we needed to look at.
We're looking at a huge liability in my way of thinking.
There's a lot more moving parts and pieces to this. Which council, who's the attorney that was involved in this? 'Cause we haven't been contacted by anybody.
The attorney for the school, I have no idea what their school, which attorney the school used.
Maybe if you could find out, and then I'll reach out to them. There are a few things that right off the top I had issues with. I had issues with a set rate that's below what it costs us, and then a refund schedule according to them if they don't get the services according to certain conditions and stuff. All of that stuff I'd like to speak to that gentleman or lady about. That's something I would recommend before we go to presenting contracts, that possibly the attorneys are looped into the negotiation of said contract. But at this time, this doesn't look like something that helps the county. It will help Stockdale Independent School District, and I have just as much concern about that school as I do the school my children attend. But we are the county, our duty is to the entire county.
So we're still covering it with the deputy, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and the marshal.
Primarily the sheriff's department as an off-duty.
But you will respond if you have
Oh,
to.
of course,
Okay.
of course.
Right.
Even if it's early in the morning, I'll respond from the house.
I'm glad you brought that up. How many times do you respond in the county to assist the deputies?
Quite often, frequently, several times a week.
Several times a week,
Out of your city?
Yes, sir.
out of our city.
Out of the city?
You want to take a patrol deputy off the streets.
I understand
so
that,
They can't help those deputies.
if he's able to first respond, then he first responds to help out the county. And conversely, we're talking about another mutual aid relationship between the county and the city, albeit it's the ISD.
We want to get it solved. We want to get it in the right direction. Again, I voiced my opinion. It needs to be under his department. And that takes care of the liability thing with the county and also, I think, gives better protection for the children and the staff of the school. But we obviously cannot do a budget amendment right now. It's not an emergency. But we're still providing that security to them right now, correct, Sheriff?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there's not anybody not going there to help?
No.
Okay. Commissioners, I would want to go ahead and table it. I'm going to ask that, to table it so that our council can research this a little bit more with counsel from both the school and possibly the city, so we can resolve this issue.
Can someone speak to the school about these grants and see why they didn't apply? They're out there, they're
We don't know
available.
that they did or didn't. We don't have the school here to talk about it, but
I'm just asking, can someone
Yeah.
talk to the school? Lavernia applied for them and got them, and they're gonna use that money.
My deal
Pay.
is, why table it? If we're gonna talk, that's a moot point.
Say again,
That
Sheriff, I'm
contract's a
sorry.
moot point. If we're gonna go talking to the school and try to change this to the city of Stockdale, that contract's a moot point. He's already got issues with that contract, so why table that today? Just do away with that. We'll start over from square one.
Okay, we
I have
can.
a problem with that.
So what you're saying, we just bypass agenda item number 7, not take any action?
No, y'all can vote on
He
it. Vote it
suggested that
down.
we-
Because we will start all over from scratch.
There's nothing more important to any of us than the safety and health and well-being of our children. And in this society that we live in today, it's very difficult. Having sat on the school board, it's difficult to make these decisions. It's no different than it is with the county's budget. Everybody wants this, they want to do that. We all want to do whatever it is we think we need to do, but we've got to stay focused on what it is, and these kids and their parents need to feel that their kids are safe at school. How we accomplish that are up to these governmental bodies, and I think they all need to learn to work together. This is tough. This was a very good, healthy conversation this morning today. I agree that we don't have enough information this morning, and that this needs some further discussion. There's a lot of ideas out there on the table, and I think everybody that's involved in this needs to get more information. And Sheriff, if it's your recommendation, I'll make a motion to not approve the contract with Stockdale Independent School District for providing a school resource officer.
Second.
Oh, hold on. Oh, is that what you recommended, Sheriff?
Yes, sir.
That
We will start again. There's been enough to me to just, let's start with a blank slate and deal
You
with
can
the
understand, we want to do it right, but we also have to protect the county.
I understand that. That's why,
Utmost
Judge, I
protection
want to
of-
start doing it.
Right.
Let's get it laying out here and try to get all these
Why is
issues,
someone from the Stockdale School not here this morning?
because I didn't think that they needed to be here, to tell you the truth.
That's who this contract is with. They would be.
I understand.
Key components of this contract, would they not?
That's with Wilson County and them.
Okay.
You're merely the provider for Wilson County.
Okay. Commissioner Martin, state your motion again, please.
I made a motion to deny the contract with Stockdale Independent School District for the purpose of providing a school resource officer.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, seconded by Commissioner Paradola. Is there any other discussion regarding agenda item number 7?
Can we amend it to say as proposed? Because he's already stated he's gonna go
I
back.
don't know that, I mean, I think we're going to start over, but,
I don't think that would matter.
yeah.
I don't,
Any other discussion?
You have any comment on that, Tom?
Well, again, like I said, there's several ways to do it. The sheriff doesn't need y'all's permission for, but this way, he does. I think, if they want to go back to the drawing board, have someone from Walsh Gallegos give me a call, I'm happy to speak with them.
Yeah, our attorney absolutely should have been contacted by the school's attorney that wrote this contract up. That's just proper protocol.
Want us to sign a contract, you might want to loop the lawyer in, because he's got something to say. They all do, right?
Any other discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Marshal. Agenda item number 8, we have Ms. Brenda Trevino, our county auditor, discuss and take action on seeking requests for proposals for Wilson County Health, General Liability, Law Enforcement, Public Officials Liability, Umbrella, and Workers' Compensation Insurance policies.
Yes, so it's that time of the year again. We'll be coming to court for recommendation on going out for bid. So the timeline for all of the insurance proposals for general liability, law enforcement, public official liability, umbrella, and workers' compensation insurance policies, as well as the health policy, would be published the week of May 29th. We would accept all bids through July the 8th, open the bids on July 8th, and award July the 22nd. So I'm just seeking for approval to go out for bid for that.
Does that include the risk insurance too in here? Is that?
Yes, that would include that as well.
That would be the one that we did not have to begin with.
That is correct.
All right, Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion for agenda item number 8.
Make a motion that we go out for insurance to include the county health insurance, general liability, law enforcement, public officials liability, umbrella, and workers' compensation insurance policies.
Second.
Motion been made by Commissioner Aiken, second by Commissioner Paradola. Is there any other further discussion on agenda item number 8? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, the ayes have it, motion passes. Agenda item number 9, again, we have Brenda Trevino, our county auditor, discuss take action on awarding a contractor for Precinct 1 Road and Bridge, County Road 128 project.
Yes, so the county went out for bid for Precinct 1, County Road 128 project. Commissioner Martin hired KCI Technologies to prepare the bid packet and review those submissions, and we received a letter dated April 26 from Frank Jaster with KCI Technologies, and I don't believe he's here, so I will read the letter. It was addressed to Commissioner Martin. KCI Technologies, Inc., KCI, has completed the bid review and referral confirmations for the above referenced project. Based upon this review, KCI recommends awarding the contract to LCR Total Transport, LLC from Bulverde, Texas. And then the commissioner and I received a copy of the bid tabulation as well, and the total project cost from LCR is
720 something.
I'm sorry, it's super tiny.
Yeah.
I believe it's $751,908.03. Is that correct, Commissioner? No, I'm sorry, it's it's this one right here. Yeah. $694,555.
Which was the lowest bid?
Yes. And so I'll turn it over to Commissioner Merton if he wants to elaborate, or we do have a contract that was sent to us, and I believe has been reviewed by council as well. And I don't know if council has any questions regarding that as well, but I do have the copy of it here for the judge's signature should you proceed.
The only two issues I had. Commissioner Martin, did you used to work for KCI?
I did.
Do you have a conflicts, no disclosure of no conflicts?
No, sir. I resigned from that office in, from them in 2014.
As a matter of form, I have no issues with the contract. Just because I track and use work there. As a matter of form, and to maintain the appearances of propriety, I would do a no conflicts disclosure. And the Texas Ethics Commission has the form. Sylvanio has them. And I would probably recuse myself from those. Those are the two bits of advice I would give, but I have no issues with it.
Yeah, I mean, presented this three times. This is the County Road 104 Bridge Match Project for the Tech Stop rebuild, and that Commissioner Perdola and I are responsible for this project. It'll be 4/10 of a mile from 775 south down to Carrizo Ranch entrance. And that's it, unless y'all have any other questions.
Okay, so which one of those bids are we taking? The which one?
LCR.
LCR?
Then I'll make a motion to approve a contract with LCR in the amount.
Hold on, Commissioner. No, not you. Not you.
He doesn't have to, it's just advice.
I think it's a good advice. No, let somebody else make that motion.
I'm not
And
implying
do not
you're
vote.
wrongdoing, sir, I'm just protecting you.
Okay.
Okay, just trying to protect the integrity of the court.
I'll make a motion that we accept the bid for $694,555 with LCR for the County Road 128 project, which I am also part of.
Second.
You won.
You won.
Motion made by Commissioner Perdola, seconded by Commissioner King regarding agenda number 9. Is there any other further discussion for number 9? Hearing none, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against?
I'm abstaining, Judge.
Yes, and for the record, Commissioner Martin has abstained. Thank you, sir. All right, motion passes. Agenda item number 10. Gentlemen, I'm sorry I had to make you all wait so long. We're going to have a presentation made by the Wilson County Expo Center Steering Committee for renovations to the middle of the show barn. Gentlemen, y'all have the floor. And do we have,
Yeah, we have a PowerPoint
There it is. Okay.
presentation that I think they're going to try to get up. Yep, there it is. Come on over here, Austin. But I also printed out the same thing just for, you don't have to turn around and look at the screen.
Thanks, sir.
First off, my name's Nash Nichols, member of your Expo Steering Committee. We want to thank the court for giving us an opportunity to serve the county and community during the design process. I think we all agree that it has had its challenges. However, we face those challenges with open minds and feel we've come up with the best options that currently available that will best fit the county's and community's needs excuse me, for a new facility. One that supports not only the county stock show and potential rodeo, but can be used as a disaster relief center in case of any emergency. I want to note that inside this presentation, you're going to see some numbers. And those numbers are just simply estimates on material costs only. No labor, no electrical, plumbing, none of that has been seeped. So we're just trying to get an idea structurally, material costs, what this thing is going to run the county. With that, I'll let Austin take over with the presentation.
Morning, gentlemen. How are we this morning? My name is Austin Harbor. I've been one of the gentlemen to be tasked by the judge to look at this Expo Center. Today we're going to talk about, you can just click through all of those there. Today we're going to talk about the history, our recommendations, a few options that we've put together. some concerns and questions that we have that y'all might have, and obviously next steps after we go through this presentation. Next, please, ma'am. The current conditions of the Wilson County Expo Hall. Go ahead, please. You can just click through it. The Wilson County Show Barn Expo Hall was originally built in around the 1960s. The last roof/barn was erected in the early 1980s. The land was originally donated by Leo Jasic and family for the Wilson County Youth Show. And during a normal show year, this facility houses over 400 animals, along with the kids, the families, the friends, and everybody in between that goes to put on this event. And this conversation that we're having today marks the first time in 40 years that a significant upgrade will be done. So what we have to work with, the county has set aside an estimated $2.4 million to upgrading these facilities. This money should include the improvements of the facility's infrastructure to include water, sewer, and electrical to meet current code requirements. These funds should also include the demolition of the oldest section of barn to be made safe and the erection of the new barn and roping/rodeo arena, along with the grading and structural improvements necessary. This project needs to start and be complete in between the county stock show dates. That gives us about a year. If we want to do it before YCBA, it gives us about 8 months. So this is our total future build-out option that we have put together here. As you can see, there's two different shade colors there. There's a purple color and a green color. The purple color would be the first phase in the new barn erection. The green color would be the second phase in extending the roof line for the rodeo purpose. So again, to the slide, this would be a multi-phase build depending on time and money. This design best utilizes the existing space for the needs of the community. This design allows for future expansion without redesign of structure. The total build would be 81,000 square feet. The estimated material cost for this build, this is again, building only, between $13 and $20 per square foot. So with posts, that means with additional structural posts throughout the middle of the barn, not a free span building, it would be about $1,053,000. A free span, totally empty in the middle, would jump that up about another $600,000. And so later on in the show, we have a couple designs that we can show y'all to show the difference between the free span and the pole barn itself. So this would be the phase one right here. So as you can see, the banquet hall, the existing barn, and this would be the center area in between the two. With the current funding that's available in that 2.4, this is what this committee feels is achievable with that money. And you can see we've kind of laid it out, best case scenario there. What it will include is the demolition of the current structure between the banquet hall and the existing cattle barn area. Flat work, grading, improvements underneath the phase one shaded area. Electrical service updates to include future expansion, i.e. lighting, HVAC power, RV hookups, future buildings, PA system securities, plumbing updates to include RV hookup stalls, wash racks, restrooms, water needs around property, updated sewer lines, the structural components for the building erection, that would be your piers, your beams, everything underground that you would need, the constructional components itself, the metal. Again, the estimated material cost would be $13 to $20 per square foot, depending upon what style building we go with. And you can see the differences there in the prices. So this design here best utilizes what the building already is and updating it to what it could be. Next slide, please. So please note, this is something that this committee threw in here because we do want to talk about it and we think it's important. Please note that the updated barn itself is not going to be the generator of funds to recoup the investment. Future stall and RV hookups will be the best way for the county to recoup money off the property and generate another stream of income for other projects within the county. That is why it is imperative that the sewer, water, and electrical service be adequate for future expansion. On the other hand, the stalls and hookups will not generate money unless the Expo Center becomes a place that people want to host their events at. This is a ripe opportunity for the community and the county to both benefit from this facility. Next slide, please. Phase two, just as I said before, the green shaded area would be the extension of the roof line. Please note that the current roof line runs all three barns together, and we are proposing changing the middle barn roof line to go essentially north to south instead of east to west there. So that way it has room to expand along the whole property and not gets tied in between the two buildings. Phase 2 would include the extension of the roof line, 27,000 square feet, the purchase and erection of the rodeo arena, the purchase and erection of the permanent bleachers, any related structural flat work, lighting and plumbing. And again, material cost as of this moment between $13 to $20 per square foot, and you can see the price differences there and on the sheets we've given you. Next slide, please. This is another option that this steering committee came up with. This option is actually building a brand-new barn next to the existing cattle barn without touching the old section. So this does a couple things. This would mirror places like, and I'm sure everybody's been to these places, the Uvalde Rodeo Arena / Show Barn, Lavaca County, and San Patricio County. This could be a brand-new build, start from scratch. Timeline wouldn't be as important because we wouldn't be actually demoing out any parts of the barn, so we could still hold events. We would just have to delineate construction from the event areas. The utilities would still be imperative to be upgraded, so that way you could continue to run this facility and also have room for future expansion without continuously trying to update your infrastructure.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
On that option, does the old part still stay, or do we take it down? Take it,
We would, yeah,
that would be next to it.
recommend leaving it up just for time purposes. If the building doesn't get erected in time, if we miss dates,
You have buckets.
you have a place to,
For the water when it comes through. So,
it's what we use today. So,
that's the question I have to ask. What do we do when that comes down? After we leave it there and
So-
then finished, is that gonna become
there's
an open
options
area or
there.
what?
You can either leave it and maybe just put new tin, new roof on it, re-roof it, because it would help for additional space to house other animals projects throughout the show. Or if it's in just such bad shape, demo it, take it out, and it separates the two, the banquet hall and now what would be the new expo center, which if you've got two events going on, one in the expo center and one at the banquet hall, you're not creating a conflict there. There's separation. It would just become a parking lot, essentially.
Well, okay, so the whole concept of this thing is so that we spend this federal money so that it becomes a secondary evacuation center as well. That wouldn't meet the bill, would it?
So both of these ideas are based off of the requirements as we know them. So 4 walls all the way down, enclosed space. This could still meet the bill because you do have a drive-through passage currently through that cattle barn that we've all spoke of. But also what can be done to essentially the arena design is to have additional gates and additional points of access to where you could bring trucks, set up, and set up areas within that facility to compensate or accompany, whatever needs might be during an emergency.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to share some information because I'm not aware of this, and I think this is all great work. But I do want to remind the court, and perhaps you were unaware, we have a pending application with the General Land Office for the expansion of the show barn for the use of the $1.287 million. And that is for the Shelter of Last Resort project, which is the expansion of this. The expansion of the current expo center for the Shelter of Last Resort. So I would just ask that if this is in addition to or part of, that we all get on the same page, because the ARPA money that's been allocated, which you referenced, the $2.4 million, that has been allocated in addition to the $1.287 million that we are pending receipt of from the General Land Office for the Shelter of Last Resort planning. And so there's specific planning required by the General Land Office that's required, and processes that must be completed in order to utilize that funding. So I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page and we're not duplicating efforts, and certainly don't want all of your work to,
That actually is brought up in one of the next slides.
Okay.
Like, if there's any requirements that we are unaware of.
Yeah.
Well, and we've had an engineer look at that, and their assessment of that center section is it needs to come down because they can't verify what any foundation or anything else is. So I think in the future, you should plan on removing that
Yes, sir.
as
That's-
quickly as possible.
And that's why we came up with multiple options here. One that says it comes down immediately and one that says it comes down once a new structure is completed. But we all agree that it needs to come down and either be rebuilt or turn it into a different usage. Absolutely. And to your point, this committee wants what's best for this facility, wants what's best for the community. So we are open and all ears to any other recommendation and any other processes that, might need to be
Certainly. I just
necessary.
wanted to make sure that, because I believe with that application that was submitted, there was already some design and options presented to the GLO, so I don't want it to conflict with what you've presented here. So as long as everybody is working together to accomplish the same goal, I think that's what we're trying to get to, and I just need to make sure that it gets done.
Yeah, and if you go back to your pamphlets and you look at the first option that we presented, really the only major change and design difference was changing the roof line to where it faces the other direction for future expansion for whatever purpose may be necessary. But otherwise, it's the same building, same structure, just a different roof line. So, and then, next slide, please, ma'am. So, questions we have, you can just click through them, ma'am. So what ADA compliances are going to be an issue? And I'll just read through them and y'all can mull them over. I know one of the big ones here is, can we tie the new structure into the existing structures per code? What kind of curb appeal are we looking for to dress the front of the property up for the new designs? What kind of building permits are we going to be running into? And then one of the things that we came up with that we were concerned about is, what kind of road issues will expansion cause for entering and exiting of the property? Are we going to need new accel lanes? Is it going to be an issue pushing traffic back onto 97 there? So not necessarily questions that we're looking for answers immediately on, just something that we'd like the commissioners and judge to mull over and us to mull over and see if we can all come to a conclusion together on what those answers will be. So timeline, this committee was selected on March 2024. By June 2024, we would love to have a design chosen and sent to an architect. Bidding secured by November 1st for the general contractor, and construction to start February 1 of 2025. And with the desired end date of October 1st, 2025, to fit in within the current show schedules and the current usage of that facility. And that's just for reference on, once we get going, how we'll have to have everything in place and get it rolling, so that way we don't affect who currently uses that and, who currently makes that show barn and expo hall, what it is. So next slide, please. Architectural and engineering. We recommend designing this build to encompass all future work, to include RV hookups, possible future wash racks, outbuildings, if they're gonna do events out there and need stages, just a whole facility designed for the community's usage. That's what we're trying to encompass one time. So that way this committee and this court has a clear idea of where this is headed, and everybody knows what we're trying to do out here. Just very clear and concise. Once the county approves a design, we need to get an architect on board ASAP. The architect can help us understand what is going to be needed to pursue the endeavor, can also help us understand what other requirements are needed. And we will have a more realistic understanding of total working budget and capabilities within that budget. Next slide, please. So once a design is complete, the county can hire a general contractor to take on the project. So this is a good time to probe the community and see who would be willing to donate time, money, expertise towards this project. Because this facility hits home for a lot of the members of our community. A lot of our members showed there, all of the gentlemen and ladies here, their children show there, they've showed there. So this place hits home for a lot of people, and we believe that this could be something that our community could effectively help us with. To help them, a simple gesture of recognition, based upon sponsorship, we could help there. We feel we can only really ask the community for help once they know what we're trying to build. That's why we feel like the architect is a big deal and a final design is a big deal, because I don't believe we can effectively ask our community for help unless they know what they're really putting their money towards or their time towards. The community could effectively make up any lost funds from A&E and put the project in a good place starting out. Next slide, please, ma'am. So here are the two designs. The one on the left, the blue roof building there, that would be a total free span design. The one on the right looks identical, except it does have the interior posts, which I believe we said 150 foot, right? We could effectively do 150 foot between those interior posts, which would be the size plenty big for an arena, show barn, whatever you want there. The bleachers could effectively butt up to them, and they would essentially become a part of the fencing, you know, to your arena or your show ring or whichever way. So I don't believe they would be a huge issue, plus monetary costs. I think that would be the way to go. But we did search out both options there. So next slide, please. So effectively, this is what it could look like when we're all said and done. The biggest photo there, that's the Uvalde Fairplex Arena. The top right-hand corner, that is the San Patricio County Arena. Also, it's in Sinton. Also, their show barn. They roll that dirt in and they set up the show and the pins and everything right there. And the bottom right-hand corner is Hallettsville, Lavaca County. So, and you can see how that is their arena that they roll in and they set up the show right there in the middle of it. So, effectively, this is what ours could look like based off these designs.
And all three of those are free span, no poles in the middle?
No, sir. The
They're all free?
Fairplex is, you can't really see them. They're behind the bleachers. That one, it has the poles, I believe, set at 200-foot span. San Patricio, top right, you can see the poles right behind the bleachers there as well. And then Hallettsville is actually only 200 foot wide. It's pretty narrow, so it is a free span.
What do y'all feel about that free span versus the poles in the middle? Cost, but what do you feel like's the best? The poles would be better. It'd be better on the poles? Okay, all right.
Yeah, effectively, cost-wise, you're not going to lose anything for openness to the building. You're going to be able to section it off a little easier for your different events with the poles. And just cost-effectively, I don't think it takes anything away from the building itself. And then open floor, we just wanted to reiterate that this committee would like to be involved through the construction of the facility. We feel like we can help guide and architect a GC to an end result that keeps this county and community's interests at front of mind. And whatever capacity that may be, we would love to continue to help and continue to help plan and continue to just help any way we can. So thank y'all.
Any other comments? I just want to thank you all. This is a great job. There's no way one person could have done this research, and that's why we put you all in place as the committee members. We appreciate that. Really do.
We appreciate the the opportunity doing it. We've all gotten along very well, had lots of heated discussions and opinions. But all for good. It needed to be said, and we've come up with what we feel is the best options for the county and community.
Okay, let's see if we can't meet that June 1 deadline to get an architect in. Okay?
Absolutely.
Do that?
Well, there are specific requirements by the GLO to follow to CFR for the bidding process. So there are a lot of intricate details that we would have to do because we are utilizing the GLO funding.
I take it we're going to get that 1-point-something million for sure?
Yes, the
Okay.
money is ours. It's in review right now, but we had to prepare the application as it relates to the shelter of last resort, which is the expansion of the current expo center. So if we're going, it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like we're going to join forces, and this may be a bigger project than what we relayed to the GLO. And so if it's going to be combined work, then the hiring of the architect, engineering, and all of that has to be procured properly, because anything that is procured prior to us receiving the money will not be reimbursed to the county. So it's very, very important that the procurement process is followed to a T as required by the GLO.
That's extra money that we can use for those improvements. Mr. Caldwell, you have any comments, suggestions that we need on this project?
No, I'm impressed. I mean, this is a great presentation.
Yeah, it's great.
Is this tied in any to the other property that we're gonna acquire right next door?
No,
Or that's
it,
gonna be something-
no, it's separate. That's the wellness center, but part of it will go under that property.
Yeah.
So,
It's a lot of action going on in it, one area.
To clarify, the first phase on your drawing there would be within the current confines. The phase two would extend onto the property, the next property, if it is obtained. And it- Yes, sir. Yeah,
Yeah,
just to
we're-
clarify for land.
yeah, because we're in the
purposes.
middle of making that final for that property right now. And then there's some other funds that may be coming in from the help of Congresswoman Dela Cruz, Monica Dela, yeah, that may come in to the tune of about $5 million. So, again, lady and gentlemen, thank you.
Answer the question regarding the timeline, just so that you know, because in order to send, even if the court were to choose a design, in order to send that to an architect, we first have to procure an architect. And we won't be able to procure an architect by June 1st, because there's a lot of the advertisement, the coming to court to open the bids, et cetera. So I would just want to let everybody know that. So when we're looking at timeframes, there's some
So what are we looking at for final release so that we can?
We would come to the court at the next court to request to go out for bid for the architectural designing.
Request for qualification.
Yeah, but we
Yeah.
would need to have some meetings to discuss how it's going to tie in with the current project that we have with the GLO.
We can get with you on that.
Yeah, just get with us and we're open, so,
We can get with you on that. No problem.
yeah.
Thank you again, appreciate you.
Judge, I have a couple of questions, if
Yeah.
you don't mind. So what other activities did y'all consider that can be done in these? I mean, did you look at rodeos or, what other types of things can be done there and use these facilities?
So one of the main ones that we were tasked with was incorporating a rodeo arena, correct? Effectively, right now, I think if you build an arena that people want to come to and use and price it accordingly, you could effectively have several rodeos a year out there. But not just the rodeos, other shows, other things would want to come. Barbecue cook-offs. If you build the arena, I already know of 2 different events that happens locally. The Children's Hospital Trail Ride, that they do a roping event that they want to bring more locally back home. There's a few others out there that I know don't use the facilities close to home. They go elsewhere because they're easier to use, easier to operate. So what our main goal here is to have a facility that works for the show kids, the rodeo kids, and the community in itself. Give a space big enough to where you could effectively do whatever you wanted to in there. Roll in the dirt, have a car meet in there, anything you wanted to. I mean, that's the goal, is to make this a multi-use facility for anybody that could rent out, want to use, and, incorporate, like I said, the RV spots later on, if that's an option, to where start generating money back to the facility, to either for upkeep or for county projects or what have you, and if you build it, they will come. The Field of Dreams,
And it
baby.
becomes a revenue source for the county.
It is. It very well
That's the
can.
goal.
But like I
That's the
said, one can't happen without the other. You
Right.
can't have 100 RV spots sitting back there without a facility that people want to use, You can't have a facility everybody wants to use without a place for them to come and stay and enjoy it, you know what I mean? So, I hope I answered your question.
Any of the members have anything to say?
And they would be very well worth y'all's trip if y'all would go visit a couple of these facilities that were on the slides.
I plan on doing it.
Lavaca County, Hallettsville.
We can't build one like Uvalde. I've been to that one.
County, Hallettsville deal would really fit. this.
You didn't list J.B. Wells, but I've been there and it's impressive. But of course, it was a large monetary donation by somebody privately.
Sure. But that is effectively how they make up the cost, is with their RV area
That's
and
right.
their recreation area back there. And JB Wells is the cream of the crop around here, right?
Phenomenal.
But at the same time, we're trying to do this for different purposes. JB Wells has an arena and a show barn. We're trying to incorporate both into the best way we can. So that's why we brought up these different places that do exactly that.
But if you go by JB Wells, a lot of times it's being used.
Every weekend.
Yeah,
Um,
so if we can
Yeah.
pull some of that over here,
Gonzalez is used all the time.
That's the same arena, sir. Yes.
That's it? Is that the one? I didn't know that was the name of it, but.
Yes, sir.
And it belongs to the city, doesn't belong to the county, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
And
okay.
they actually have the state high school finals, junior high rodeo there now. It's gotten so big.
Wow. Okay. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you all very much. That's awesome.
Agenda item number 11, we have Ms. Brenda Trevino, County Auditor, discuss take action on approving the Floresville Peanut Festival Association to use the Expo Center grounds and building for the annual barbecue cook-off, May 17th and 18th.
Yes, so speaking of the Expo Center, and I apologize, I call each of the commissioners to apologize because I thought this is something that had already been done because our barbecue cook-off is this weekend. It's the 17th and 18th. This is the 4th annual. The court, I'll just remind you, the court 4 years ago approved for the cook-off to be held here downtown. We outgrew that area. We had so many teams, that was right after COVID, and so we needed to move it. And you allowed for the association to use the grounds of the show barn, and so it's been held there for the last 3 years. Our hotels are full again. We do have some RVs that come in, and then we utilize the inside of the building on Saturday for awards. So I wanted to come and ask the court again. I thought I had done this already and went back through the agendas with the judge, and we couldn't find it. So a year crept up on me. It was last year when I did that. So. And some of you have already signed up to judge the cooking, so that's awesome. We have some city officials as well who have signed up for tasting brisket, ribs, chickens, fajitas, beans, the whole 9 yards. So, and we currently have 25 teams registered right now. Mm-hmm.
Can we tease her and table it?
Do what now?
Sure. I mean, the teams are going to come, so.
Judge, I make a motion that we allow for the Floresville Peanut Festival Association to use the Expo Center grounds and building for the annual barbecue cook-off, May 17th and 18th.
Second. Motion made by Commissioner Aiken, seconded by Commissioner Paradola regarding agenda item 11. Do we have any other discussion? Did you have more?
No.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
She just signed up for everything.
I know.
Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Agenda item number 12, we have Brenda Trevino again, our county auditor, presentation of fiscal year 2022-2023 external audit by Leal and Carter, PC.
Yes, so I am so happy and excited. If you remember, I introduced you to Robert Carter in February of this year. He started him and his firm started our fiscal year 22-23 audit in March, the second week of March. It has been completed and presented to you, and so I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Carter to tell you how we scored. So I appreciate you, Robert.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. So you have the audit report, and then there's a one-page report accompanying it. Does everybody have a copy of that? Yes. So the one-page report is for the examination strictly of those, it's the American Rescue Plan Act funds that y'all received.
I added it to the back of your.
Yeah, that's it, Judge, the one you had in your hand right there.
This one right here.
Yes, sir. So basically, in our opinion, the Wilson County is in compliance with the American Rescue Plan Act grant requirements for fiscal year 23. We had no exceptions. Now, in the actual audit report, I'm going to briefly go over some of the highlights of your annual financial statements. On page 1 is our auditor's opinion on your fiscal year 23 financial statements. And this is a new format. They basically have us index all the different opinion units and then the type of opinions that we issued. So for all your governmental activities, you have a clean opinion. That's what they call an unmodified opinion. So with respect to those governmental funds, again, the county has fairly stated in accordance with U.S. accounting principles, all their financial statements. Now, we did have one qualification having to do with your custodial funds. And in the past, they would call them the agency funds. And I can elaborate a little bit more. That's actually at the back of the report. It's on page 63. This is your schedule of findings and question cost. So we also, in conjunction with the examination, you guys had state monies in excess of $750,000. So we're also had to conduct a state single audit on those monies. And that was also a clean opinion. We had no exceptions with respect to the state expenditures. The finding has to do there under Section 2 with the financial statement audit, and it has to do on these custodial funds. So I know you're aware that you do have those custodial funds with the sheriff's office, tax office, and then the district clerk and county clerk. So it appears some of the custodial funds, and again, those are the funds in particular that we're dealing with, the daily transactions and ending balances are not recorded in the general ledger of the books. The resulting activity, the related to the receipts, that is the fine and fees to the county's governmental funds, is recorded in the general ledger. However, reconciliations of the transfers from these custodial funds is not reflected in the general ledger. So we have, again, they get monthly reports from the different departments having to do with the fine and fees, but they're in a spreadsheet format. They're not actually on the books of the county. So you can account for the revenues that you're receiving because they indicate what was distributed, but as far as the actual bank balances, those aren't on the books. So we're basically suggesting that these accounts, that the county auditor takes control of those so that she can put them on the books. And so basically just for priority, making sure that you're accounting for those monies. It's on page 21. We still have, even though we gave you an exception, meaning I couldn't audit them because they weren't on the books, we do have to present them. So if you can see on page 21, you have around $2.5 million in those funds. And the majority of that 2.5 is the tax office. They collect, obviously, property taxes for all the taxing entities, and then they distribute them out. So that's where you have a potential for risk. If they're not accounted for correctly, obviously, it's a large sum of money, and you want to make sure that the county auditor does have control of those. I have this issue quite a bit in other counties that I've audited before, where I come on board and I ask for the books of those agency funds, and they can't give them to me. So, like I told her, it's basically just so that we can make sure that they're on the books. I'm not saying there's any improprieties or anything like that. I know that in the past, for instance, in Conneticus County, there was an issue with that tax assessor collector, but that was, about a decade ago. And again, it's just basically transparency, making sure that all that is accounted for. Even though these are fiduciary funds, they're not necessarily the funds of the county. You guys have the responsibility of holding that money. So that's the only exception I had. Now, I did also, going back to the opinion.
Before you leave that page, I just got a question. So what is the current investments that are listed under those assets, the 206,000?
Those are mainly having to do, I think, with CDs that the district clerk has with trust accounts.
Okay.
So those, I guess, those cases that have been adjudicated, and then they're holding that money on behalf of these trusts, right? So going back to the opinion, on the second page, there is one emphasis of a matter, and that's not necessarily a finding or anything like that, but basically, so we took over this audit from the prior auditors, and I had to make some adjustments to the beginning balances. What I'm saying is that those financial statements are basically misstated by a certain dollar amount. So if you go back to note L on the prior period adjustments, I do have to disclose that to you. That's on page 54.
What page number is that?
54. So the beginning balance of the net position reported within the accompanying government-wide statements, that's the beginning balance again, has been revised downward by $5.2 million. And so that is broken down there. $255,000 had to do with elimination of old prior year receivables. These were interfunds. So you guys have been having a pooled cash system for some time. That eliminates the issue of having to do with interfunds. Those are interfunds basically had to do with at one time before you had a pooled cash system, funds were borrowing money against each other. Let's say that there was a grant reimbursement that hadn't come in, so they had to use the money from the general fund to cover that, and so they had like a due from, and those are supposed to be eliminated. Basically, they're only temporary. They should be basically zeroed out at the end of the period, at the end of the year. And so what we found was there was quite a bit of these interfunds that were still basically carried over years and years and years and years. So basically, one of the audit processes that we had to evaluate, your balance sheet and making sure that is properly stated. And so we couldn't find anywhere where you were going to collect those interfunds, so we just eliminated them. That $255,000. It wasn't. It was, like I said, it was probably at some point years and years back where they basically had borrowed the money, but they never. They might have returned the money, but they didn't actually on the books eliminate it. So that's what we're doing in that process. Is basically, again, we have to value that receivable, and basically make a decision whether it's a good receivable or not. And in our opinion, those weren't good receivables. So we wrote that down, $255,000. The other one has to do with, you have the Texas County District Retirement System that you guys they sponsor the pension plan for the county. And so they issue a valuation report every year. It's called the GASB 68 valuation report. And they give you the numbers that your auditor is supposed to use to make the calculation. Their measurement date is December of 22. So we have to make calculations to true it up to September of 23. And so when we were evaluating that particular reporting package, we found that the prior auditors hadn't picked up the right deferred inflows and outflows. You have to make prepayments and accrued expense adjustments to true up the numbers. So what we found was those numbers were off $74,000. So that's another part of that prior period adjustment. And then lastly, in addition to the pension plan, you have other post-benefit employee benefits. You give death benefits to employees, but then you also have a health plan to the retirees. And so I did do some research on this, and I did consult with the GFOA and AICPA. In some instances, if the plan is, so it's not sponsored by Texas County District Retirement System, but it is a plan that you guys are obligated to pay. So I don't know why they had removed it from your balance sheet, but it is a true liability. So I think the prior auditors before them had it on the books, but then for whatever reason, they took it off the books. So there wasn't a reason. Like I said, it is a true liability. So I had to adjust that by $4.8 million. So altogether, you're going to see there on your balance sheet, I made adjustments of around $5.2 million downward on your, it'll be like on the equity side. But like I said, I'll get into that right now. On page 13, I'm sorry, page 13 is your balance sheet for fiscal year 23. And then, again, this is on a government-wide basis. This is the prescribed required basis for all local governments. So for fiscal year 23, the county had total liabilities of total assets of $44.9 million, which primarily consists of cash of $22 million, investments of $9 million, tax receivables of $1.3 million, accounts receivable, that's the court receivables of $1.1 million. And then you have capital assets, net of depreciation. If you take those, they total to $10,480,000. Under that, you have a category about deferred outflows of resources. And like I mentioned before, the Texas County District Retirement System values the plan as of December of '22. So any payments that you make into the plan after that are considered to be prepayments, and so those amount to $1.6 million. Under that are your liabilities. You had total liabilities of $24 million, which primarily consist of payables of $500,000, wage and salary accruals of $200,000. The unearned revenue, that is basically grant money that you have received that you haven't spent. And a good chunk of that is, I guess the operating system was, the operating center is, Brenda, right, it was $5 million, and then the balance of the, the balance of the ARPA money that you haven't used yet. So technically, it's just like a liability until you use the money for the designated purposes. Under that, you have notes and bonds payable. We separate that between current and non-current. Altogether, you have long-term debt of $5.7 million. Then your net pension liability is $1.9 million, and your new OPEB liability, that's the death benefits and the health plan, is $4.2 million. Under that, you have deferred inflows of resources, and these are basically, again, additional accrued expenses into these pension plans to true them up to the September 23 balance sheet, and that was $1.5 million. So if you take those assets and the prepayments against your liabilities and those accrued expenses, you have your net position, your equity, which was $20.9 million. On page 14 is the income statement. Again, it's on that prescribed government-wide basis. This is what they call full accrual basis. So for fiscal year '23, you had total expenses of $27.9 million. That includes depreciation expense of $2.2 million, which is a non-cash item which you typically don't budget, but we have to basically accrue for on a full accrual basis. The next column over, under the program revenues, you had charges for services of $3.9 million. Your operating grants and contributions were $4.5 million. Under that, you have a category, total general revenues. These are $22.3 million. Those primarily consist of property taxes of $20.5 million, other taxes of $346,000, investment earnings of $1 million. Now, if you apply the program revenues and the general revenues against expenses, that category there, change in that position, that was a surplus for the year of $2.9 million. Now, in comparison, I know you guys are more familiar with the budget process, so we also present in a supplement, let's see here, page 55. A comparison of basically where you're at on your budget to actual comparisons in your general fund. And so you can see there you had budgeted $18.5 million in revenues, and you actually came out at $23.4 million. On the expenditure side, you also, again, budgeted 18.5, and you came out at $20 million. You also had some transfers that netted to a negative $388,000. So overall, compared to what you had budgeted, you were over $2.9 million as far as the surplus. Now, Brenda, I do apologize. We had an issue with my server on the road and bridge. I will be giving you emailing you all a supplement because it's all in one category, the road and bridge, as far as it's considered to be what you call a major fund. But I understand you guys want to see individual amounts from each one of the road and bridge accounts. So I will be giving you a supplement, emailing it to you guys as far as the breakdown of those particular funds. But overall, as far as the overall health of the county, going back to your balance sheet on page 13, I always like to see around a 2-to-1 ratio between your assets and liabilities, and you guys are pretty much right there. Your assets are $44.9 million, liabilities are $24 million, so that's pretty close to a 2-to-1 ratio. And on the expense side, you basically have around operating budget of 25 million or so, you know, not considering the depreciation expense. So as far as working capital goes, you guys have at least more than a month's worth. You know, 22 million is what you have in cash, but some of that's dedicated for some of these projects. So as far as working capital, you guys have at least a good, you know, over more than 3 months' worth of working capital. So overall, the county's in good financial health. Now, I'll open it to any questions you might have.
Well, that's good to hear, though. That's good news.
Yes, sir. That is good.
Are you, earlier you said something about the other firm that was before then. Did you find some mistakes in that firm?
That's right. That's why we have to do is prior period
Wasn't anything
adjustments.
the county had done, it would.
No, it was basically just they misstated those numbers.
Excellent. Commissioner? No.
It sure is. But like I said, overall, you guys are in good financial health.
And I'll be able to provide you, once he gets me the supplement for each, I asked him to break it down by individual precincts, so that way you could get a true number of your 930 fund balance, so.
For each one of those road and bridges, yeah. Alex,
It's all lumped together under Road and Bridge Fund here.
right.
All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All righty.
Move to agenda item number 13, and before that, we begin that, discuss and take action on closing the courthouse parking lot during city elections when voting is being conducted at City Hall. We have two public speakers that have signed up. We have our mayor-elect, Gloria Cantu, and then we also, following that, will be our city manager, Mr. Mayor, congratulations.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to clarify some things that are been spoken about me. I think it was a couple of days before my election, I called Judge Whitman to ask him if I could put a canopy 100 feet away from the city, which I've done that a lot of times. I've always done that since I was growing up. So we always gather there in the front just to gather and socialize. But I didn't participate in the election last year because I had termed out. So I wasn't there, but they said they had a lot of drama. And so that's why I called Judge Whitman. And I don't like drama. So I had called Judge Whitman to see if I could put one canopy there in the front. Well, one big canopy. And well, anyway, when the day came, I didn't have a big canopy. So thank goodness that some of my friends, they put 4 canopies and then 4 little ones to make a big one. So anyway, after that, I did say I was going to put it in the grass area, but since we had some senior citizens coming, I was afraid that that they might fall right there where the grass is, you know, because it's not. So we moved it over here, not thinking that I was doing anything wrong. You know, I never thought I was doing anything wrong. So then, well, people heard I needed a canopy, so they started putting some more on the side. It was not done intentionally, and I didn't have the heart to tell them no. So, Mr. Whitman, then I heard from Mr. Martin, Commissioner Precinct 1, that the city was investigating, or they wanted to know why was I having this big party out there. It was not a party. It was just that the community came. There were some were sitting with me, and there was no. He said he had a stack of complaints, and that all of y'all had stacks of complaints, or some complaints. Not he had the most. So anyway, I just wanted to come and clarify because I don't think that the people of Floresville should be punished by closing the parking lot because of a misunderstanding. I have pictures about hearsay, you know, about hearsays. I have pictures here where I was sitting by myself. There's an older lady behind me, and that was Sarita Jimenez. And Mario was campaigning in the streets. He would come off and on. His wife was there sitting with me as well. There was no beer. We had nobody was urinating on the ground. We didn't have any citations. I mean, if the police would have seen somebody urinating, they should have given out citations. Everything was done very, very peaceful. During the time that I was running for election, I do have pictures where people would pick up signs that were made by hand and just stuff that they would put about me. They would paint my signs, but I try to keep everything hush-hush because I didn't want any drama. So the last day that I was running, my daughter had to stay in Austin. She couldn't come to the election because somebody hacked into my computer. They were putting ugly stuff about about the judge. So, and then to top it off, after everything was done, it was finished. I mean, a lot of people did gather right after the election around 6:30. That's what, but they always do that. They gather there, and they were all gathered there. You know, it was a community, but it was nothing planned. We didn't plan all that. It just happened. There was no beer. There was no urination on the grounds. The place was left spotless when we left. We made sure that everything was clean. So I just want to tell y'all the way it happened. And like I said, I hope y'all don't close the parking lot because, I mean, the citizens of Floresville do pay taxes for the county. And just because about hearsay, I mean, we're here, I am here to unite us, not to divide us. So that's all I have to say. And this was not a party. And even though people are calling me and telling me, well, I'm so angry at you, you didn't invite me to the party, there was no party. You know, it was not a party. It was just, you know, we're just sitting there. If you want to look at the pictures, y'all welcome to look at it. We're just sitting there, and then on the back. We're just sitting there. I mean, if people file complaints, I mean, do they have pictures? Are they just, so, yeah, I did have signs for Mario and Marissa. Mario was campaigning most of the day. He was out on the street. His wife was there with us. And Mario was mostly at his mom's house because she's on hospice. Marissa was there off and on. But I was under that big tent, the way I said I was going to be. The only thing is that I moved it from the grass area to the parking lot, which I didn't think anything of it. And there was just water there. And some people were going, and we were using the restroom at the city hall. And I figured if the courthouse would have been open, I would have used the restroom over here. I mean, probably we wouldn't even be in there if the courthouse had been open. The courthouse was closed. So, and those are signs that people picked up that they were placing on the streets, handmade signs. Well, there's two sides to every story. I mean, if I would have lost, I wouldn't even be here. But I won, and like I said, both of my parents were illiterate. And I might not speak like they do. I might not dress like they do, but I am the mayor of Floresville. So with that said, I want to move forward, continue working with what I've done. I've done a lot, even though I don't do social media. People that know me know that I've done a lot. So.
Thank you, Mayor.
About closing the parking lot during city elections.
Mr. Joslin, welcome.
Good morning, Judge.
How are you, sir?
Commissioners, my name is Andy Joslin, and I am the proud city manager of the great city of Floresville. So I'll introduce myself here. I introduce myself throughout the state and wherever I may travel. I believe in that. I saw the agenda item. I do not pick sides. I'm not on this side, that side. I'm on the city of Floresville side. So when I see city of Floresville on your agenda, that's why I'm here. And I'm here to respectfully ask that you do not close the parking lot, because we do have a good working relationship. If there are issues that need to be addressed, you and I, Judge, can handle that. If there are law enforcement issues that need to be addressed because of anything that's been going on, the sheriff and my chief can handle those. So I think that by closing it, by the commissioner closing it or making that motion, it shows a sign that we do not want to work together. And that's not the case at all, because I've seen everybody throughout my tenure back. This is my second time with the city of Floresville, and I have come back for a reason, because this is a great place to be. I think the unity that we've showed and how we continue to work on that, Commissioner King can call, hey, I need a piece of equipment, or I need some help, or whatever, and I can do the same. Same with Commissioner Martin. The other commissioners work in different areas, but I do interact with them continuously. So out of respect for my city, and out of respect for my citizens, I'm asking you to please deny this or not approve it, and let us continue moving forward. If there's things that need to be fixed, we can fix them. It's all a matter of talking. Like I said, every election, and you've been involved in it, you are elected officials, at times get a little bit uglier than we would like, and we just move on. We've got a new mayor, a new council, myself. Our city attorney is here to represent and to say that we want to work with you, and we ask that you deny this or not approve it, and let us move forward. If there's anything that the office of the city manager has to do, you let me know and it'll get done. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. All right, Commissioners, the reason this was put on here was for that reason. I did see a lot of barbecue pits out there. Was that something you all anticipated, ma'am?
I'm sorry. That is true. I did ask you, when I called you, I did ask you that I might make some hot dogs. I remember, I did ask you, but I know my barbecue pit didn't have that gas thing that you put it on. So, I thought, well, does anybody have a barbecue pit they can lend me? I didn't have the heart when I saw that big thing drive up. I didn't have the heart to tell them why they want that big. But we didn't. I don't think we used that one. I think we used the little one, because we do use the little one. But
you're the mayor now.
I know.
You can take charge.
I know, but I wasn't there. I mean, I was running an election. My whole
I
focus
got you.
was.
So here's my concern, Commissioners, the liability of it. And that's why I'm glad Mr. Caldwell's here, because I want to run a few things by him. We do have in place, but it pertains if this becomes the election point, then they have to stay within 100 feet away from the doors of the election. If the courthouse, they complied by being 100 feet away from their collection point. We do keep the courthouse locked, because there's nobody here to watch over it, and we don't know who's going to walk in here.
No, I don't blame you. We were using the restroom from City Hall, which is open to the public.
So we tried to compare that to what happens in the Peanut Festival and this, and there's two different things. So I need to ask you this, because I'm not from Floresville, not homegrown. Why do we not have your city elections at our elections?
The reason we don't do that is because when we combine our elections to the county, some of our city people have to drive all the way to Cañada Verde to vote, or some of them have to go to the show barn to vote. So everybody's going into different directions. And when we have it here at City Hall, everybody goes to City Hall. We have this older lady that pushes a wheelchair. Her name is, well, I'm not going to say her name, but she's very old. And she pushes the wheelchair. She lives on A Street. And she's the one that says, Gloria, I can't walk all the way to the show barn to vote. And then I have other people that, why should we go all the way to over there to that fire station in front of, what is his name? Sacramento? Sacramento, over there in Cañada Verde. Why should we go over there to vote? It doesn't make sense.
I got to ask you a question. These are elderly people, right?
Some of them are elderly people.
Can they not vote early and mail in?
Well, that lady that walks with a wheelchair, she doesn't even let me drive her home when she goes to pick up
That's my
food.
question. Can they mail in a vote if they're elderly and can't?
Well, some of them want to come vote.
Okay.
Like that
I get
older
it.
lady,
get it.
I
All
told
right.
her, I said, you can do a mail-in ballot. She says, no, I want to go vote on election day.
Mr. Caldwell, what's our liability if somebody gets hurt in the parking lot during this?
Well, I mean, it's all gonna be subject to the circumstances, how they got hurt, but theoretically, if we were aware of a potential conduct on our property that could, you know, it's foreseeable that somebody could get hurt, i.e. drinking, things like that, we still, you know, as far as liability purposes, we're fairly protected under sovereign immunity. However, we still have the ability, you know, they still have the ability to make claims against our insurance, whatnot, for injuries. I think that the alcohol issue, as it was laid out to me, was the biggest one. I have a question, Mayor and City Manager and Attorney. Does Floresville have an open container ordinance? Is there any public drinking ordinances?
Mm-mm. Do y'all have one?
I don't know the answer to that either.
Okay, because during the peanut,
I don't think we-
but I didn't think, I mean, the only reason I didn't want the tent over there is because of, you know, the older people walking. That's the first thing that I thought, you know, well, this is level. And we never blocked the streets. There was, you know, we were kept ourselves right there. I made sure that, you know, nobody was covering the streets or anything, because,
We do allow the public to use our parking lots. We have a CrossFit group that uses it, Peanut Festival. I don't think the actual act of citizens milling or, you know, congregating there during an election is in itself problematic, liability-wise. But what they do, it's not a party atmosphere. You know, people that want to have parties down here come and talk to the commissioners before that happens, you know?
yeah, well, it was not, like I said, it was not a party. It was just a community gathering, which I think is good for our city because, you know, they can come and ask us questions or, and I had people, they would park here and go and just ask, you know, questions, how are you doing? I know a lot of people. I was born and raised here. A lot of people have helped me.
You know, we spoke a little bit about it, sir, and I thought about it a little more. I think a more sensible response is we've had the discussion, we have city reps here, we have the new mayor here. I think a more sensible response is to kind of just, don't, you know, necessarily pass any type of ordinance or resolution prohibiting the parking, but possibly let them know that this is county property and we reserve the right to ask anyone to leave it, you know, if we want to, even though it is public property.
Well, hasn't our policy in the past been that it's approved by this court, just like we used when the Peanut Festival, just like the exercise lady, all those folks come to the court, not one individual, not me or him or any of the rest of these guys. You come to the court as a whole and ask permission to use that. Now, I did some research on this, and Ms. Cantu, as I explained to you before, this is not directed at you. This is directed at everyone that was gathered up and down this street doing whatever it is they were doing. I'm not here to judge whether somebody said something and you don't agree with it. It's like I told you, you saw this, somebody else saw this, and the truth is somewhere in the middle. However, back in 1994, there was passed by this court on a motion by Commissioner Johnson, amended by Commissioner Pruski. It was voted unanimously to comply with the election code and not allow any electioneering in the courthouse or on the courthouse grounds, including the parking lot. Now, granted, that was the time when elections were done in the courthouse. However, Mr. County Attorney, is that still not full force and effect? Does it need to be rescinded, or does it apply, even though we don't do elections here
I
anymore?
think you said the answer's in your question. That was when they did the elections here, and they didn't want people on the property converging, whereas now we do them down there, and they mark They mark the areas, and people can still be on county property down there during our elections. We don't throw them off the library property or the parking lot. I don't think that rule would be applicable to this. What we're talking about here is a public assembly issue. It's just the conduct while they're assembled causes concerns for the county. I would suggest that y'all understand, if the commissioners don't want to take any action, that in the future, we reserve the right to say, no, you cannot barbecue on this property. They can't ask permission for this because it sounds like to me it was very uncoordinated. It was just people coming and going as they made their way over to vote.
Yes, that's exactly what it was.
But-
And they didn't congregate there until at 6:30 when they were waiting for the results. They saw me there, and some of those people weren't even voting for me, you know, but they know that.
Now, here is a suggestion, if y'all want to, lay the liability on the city of Floresville, say, during your elections, if you're doing them at City Hall, and you anticipate your voters are gonna be coming and parking in the county, or amassing on the county parking lot here, you have to agree as part of that, kind of like an interlocal agreement, that Floresville PD will be available in the event we receive any complaints or we have any issues. And then Floresville PD can do what we would have our
Tom.
deputies do.
Excuse me, but the citizens of Floresville do pay county taxes, remember?
They do, ma'am,
Yeah.
but they're not here for county business. They're parking on our property,
Property,
walking
yeah,
over
going
there to
to-
the city business, and then they're staying here, potentially engaging in festive stuff, which we have no issues with. But I'm just saying, I'm trying to find a solution.
Thank you.
where we
Thank
don't
you.
have to really do anything except say, Mr. Jocelyn, barbecuing on our property, we don't like that. You know, with awnings and tents and fire issues.
I know, but like I said, I wanted to tell you that I know I had asked for one, but
Yeah.
I just couldn't. You know, when they offer something, I just cannot say no.
We wouldn't let somebody
Mayor,
sit.
you're going to have to start saying no,
I
ma'am.
know.
You're the leader of this town.
Ma'am, we wouldn't let someone sit outside on a park bench right there in our courtyard and consume alcohol and get intoxicated.
But nobody
We
was-
would react to that. So it makes no difference whether it's an election or not. And I'm not saying it happened, but the drinking is the issue that was,
No, there was.
would be the primary one.
There was no drinking there. I never saw anything. I don't know if y'all have pictures of people drinking there.
Well, and it was more than that. And I think we all knew who the primary instigators and were, but there was a lot of yelling and screaming and cussing and.
There was
you know, and
no
all-
cussing, excuse me.
You know what? Maybe not where you were sitting, but that's what I'm saying, Ms. Cantu, is you've got to look at this thing holistically. There are people that says that it did happen. So, you know what? I wasn't there either, so I don't
Oh,
know.
excuse me. There was cussing in front of the city hall and the police took care of it, but that wasn't from
Well, I
our.
didn't, again, you're taking this as all being focused on you, and it's not. It's about everything that went on down there that day, okay?
Well,
Everybody's got a the right to vote, and no matter what, nobody should be turned away.
exactly.
So whenever we hear about it on our end as well, ma'am, is the simple fact that that's one thing I did here. Well, one thing I fought for this country is for your rights, okay? So whenever I hear that people are getting turned away because of vulgar language, it bothers me. So whether it happened in front of you or not. But what I'm getting at is they have the right to do that. They have a right to go vote at any time.
Exactly.
And for something like this, I would say anything after the election with our property, they do pay county taxes. They can park here, they can walk across over there. But after the election is over with, that party needs to move somewhere else, totally, 6:15, whatever it is, this parking lot should be empty by then. And that party moves wherever it goes to celebrate.
And that's
It is
exactly
important
what
to
we did.
celebrate it, But not.
No,
in
there was
fashion.
vehicles parked there till 11 o'clock at night.
So, but
Huh? Nobody was there.
This isn't a fault finding.
No.
No,
Sorry
it's
about-
not.
This is the county responding to complaints they received, that most are nameless. We don't know who or what. But in the future, we'd rather not have this item on the agenda again. So we're trying to figure out a way not.
You're not signed up for public speaking, sir, but I'll go ahead and let you speak.
Okay.
Come on up.
I'm Mario Morones.
Okay.
One of the new city councilmen. I'd like to, I like to work with all y'all guys, countywide, citywide, whatever it's gonna take. But like she said, years and years, Ram Ramirez as a mayor that stood there for, I don't know if y'all know Ram Ramirez, was there for
23 years.
maybe 30 years. He sat under that tree, there was a tree there, I don't think it's there anymore, but a tree that was on this side. He sit there, and hey, anybody wants, it's the same thing that y'all do with the county. Y'all are across the street at Vineyards. Some of you are, not all y'all, but it's been in the years that's passed. So what I'm saying is, yeah, it might have got out of hand, but I'm gonna tell you, if anybody was, and I think I might come up with a couple of videos that I can bring y'all, or show y'all. The party was over there at the American Legion, came over here with a beer can, those were drinking over there, with a beer can, and started mouthing off in front of the door once the post closed. And that's where all that thing came out. Now, yeah, it might have gone out of hand because Gloria told him, hey, well, don't think this too big. Maybe she should have said that. But last year and years past, I like to help people on their elections or whatever. That y'all had an officer here that controls the, well, I don't see him here, but I got his car, I forgot what his name was. I parked with my truck on the street, and here comes that officer that I think he says that he takes care of the courthouse. He comes and he's videotaping. When I get my camera back, I start videotaping him back. I said, oh, no. It's just that those people over there told me that you're not supposed to be here. I said, I'm on the state highway. I'm away from over there. And it gets to me that it's a city election. I think y'all should work with the city too to say, you're allowed to put signs just like the county allows y'all to put signs in the county. Where are we gonna put our signs if we can't put them on the county?
Hold on. Mayor, did I say yes, you could? Yes. On the signs?
Oh,
I did, didn't
yeah,
I?
he said, but
So
yeah,
if
there's
I
no
stop
problem.
with my car and she stops and Marisa stops, whoever's running for office, to stand there. Now, I know that we're here because they got out of hand.
Well, I don't
okay?
think it got.
No, they didn't get out of hand, but they're saying they got out of hand. And Mr. Martin, if you have those pictures, according to a section, I can't remember the section right now, the complainant, we need to know who the complainant was. You say, I'm not supposed to give you that. Yes, you're supposed to tell me who the complainant is. See what, and I'm not trying to get smart, I'm trying to do this, but I try to defend because nothing happened. I came and gone, I wasn't there to say what I saw, none of that you said that happened, didn't happen. The argument did start, and it came from somebody over there, and they got into it, and there's plenty of people that come to this court and tell you who it was. I'm not gonna name names or none of that. Over here, nothing happened, and nobody was drinking, nobody used you got a picture of a restroom? Somebody using a urine, show it to me.
No, I don't at this point.
There isn't, because it didn't happen. But it's been a problem, supposedly who's there now, or whatever was there. But it's gonna be taken care of. I mean, people do vote, but to vote it down, to not to use the parking lot, it's the same thing. Say they come to ask you for the yoga, somebody slips on a rock, still liable. They ask permission, if they want to sue you, they can still sue you. But the thing is, it's like Mr. Johnson said, let's work together. If y'all need it for something that y'all haven't here, y'all can park at City Hall. We can park at the county. But I understand, I don't want to say too much or anything, just say, let's work together. That's all I'm asking. And bottom line, I'm not here to argue with nobody or just stuff, but that stuff that happened, the time that I was there, none of that happened.
Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you
Hey,
very much.
Joslin. Mr. Joslin, what's the city gonna do to ensure that doesn't happen? Because I understand what they're saying about folks coming across from the post over here with a beer in their hand. How are we gonna police that?
And that's going to be something that we've talked about before elections, whatever policies we have to put in place or procedures, getting with our law enforcement and ensuring that's, I don't like to be embarrassed myself either. And I get you as a commissioner's court. served in the military myself, so I appreciate people voting when they do. I guess several of us did. It's just a matter of communication. And if that's one of the cases, I do not participate in the election process according to my code of ethics for my profession, but I do supervise the people that do, and they kept me abreast of what's going on. And I talked to my city secretary. She's out today. She's taking a couple of days off, rightfully so. But she did not receive. We received a lot of complaints, but not the ones that you received. So doesn't matter. We'll get on
Our
it.
objective has already been reached, that we made awareness of what's going on.
Most
We wanna make
definitely,
sure
sir.
nothing- And Councilman, this court has been very working together with that man and your previous, very well. We are very supportive of Floresville. I actually flew to Washington DC with that man right there.
I wanted to work with, when I ran, I said, I want to run with.
Exactly.
Work with any entities that, you know,
We just want to make sure that there's awareness brought to this, and there needs to be
yes, sir.
someone that can control it. Right, Mayor? Right?
I will control it.
Okay.
In a.
You got to say no every now and then.
In a good way, yeah, I'll say no.
Okay. All right. Okay, very good.
Mr. Jocelyn, but
Thank
I
you.
tried to catch you before you sat down. I have a quick question.
Sure.
And a comment. Didn't know this agenda item was going to go this way. You made a statement, and I just wanted to address it real quickly, that, you know, I guess my concern would be, do you need to use the courthouse for your people to be able to park and vote across the street? Is it something to where the parking in the courthouse is integral to you being able to allow people to cast their votes?
And I think so. I think it's been a process of procedure and things that people are aware of. And continue that way.
Okay, so it would be important for us to maintain that parking for the election rather than to allowing any camp, whatever side, whatever affiliation they have, to be there all day long during elections, because it could inhibit the process.
And we want to make sure that any person that comes to vote doesn't feel threatened at all. That they exercise, well, I'm just saying, I don't want them to feel threatened. They have a right to vote and not feel threatened. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's in the spirit of working together. If they need the parking lot, we can allow them to use the parking lot. And, you know, your election days may change, or things may come up, you may have a runoff or whatever. You know, I don't know why you'd have a problem asking, so that we know when it is, so that we can be prepared and we can make sure that we know what's going to happen and who's going to be responsible for what. I know the county attorney stepped out, and I don't know if we needed a formal agreement on that, but the policy has always been that if you're going to use the courthouse grounds for anything, you come and ask permission. Just like I said, the Peanut Festival, the exercise people, the car clubs, everybody else, they come to y'all to ask y'all to close the streets. And so, you know, I don't see that as a problem to make people aware and to get their approval, so.
And additionally, we shut down the ability to function as a courthouse in the run-up to Peanut Festival.
Right.
I mean, we literally set up encampments on the courthouse, and I have had complaints from the public about, I want to go pay my taxes. Well, the tax office is shut down for several days for the city event. And, you know, it causes some problems, and you know, because we have people, my particular district, Pierdola's district, who travel from somewhere else to be able to come conduct business. And so I want you to know that we are working together, because that is one of the issues where I feel like there's a concession given on the county side for the city of Floresville.
Thank you.
I guess my concern is that we've got a very lengthy agenda today, and I don't want to be back here again about barbecue pits and,
Yeah, I take full responsibility for that. I mean, next time I'll say no, no. I mean, I just borrowed a small barbecue pit, and, like I said, they bought a big one, or they bought several. There was a lot
Mr. Joslin,
of
you and I
barbecue.
can get, well, I know that Commissioner Martin wants that permission to come to the court. That's easily done. We can do that, okay? We can put it on the agenda, that's good. Then we coordinate with our chief to see if we need security, because certainly the county, they need to be out in the county, and our sheriff's already overburdened, you know. So you agree, Sheriff?
We've done that before.
Yeah, well,
Come down here.
yeah.
Judge-
So, but it, you know, I'll get together with the chief, but let's go ahead and do that, come forward, we'll get it on the record, we're good. All right.
I'm just saying, using it for elections is one thing, but using it to have a party, barbecues and all of that.
I agree with you.
Come back to
I
court.
agree. And I
Yeah.
think the mayor's already committed to say she's gonna make
I'm
sure.
looking
She's
at
on
the
there.
city to make sure that that doesn't happen
Yeah,
during the
okay.
city elections.
Okay.
That's fine. Also, I always try to get the American Legion. And, you know, because they yell at us, oh, y'all don't want to pay, y'all don't want to pay. No, it's not that. It's just that the American Legion is always booked on that day.
Yeah.
So it's not that we don't want to pay, it's just that that's the only place we can,
Now,
that's
we
100
certainly
feet.
don't want to block it off. If there's people that need to park and go walk over.
And then we made sure that that was, because that was one of the things you told me, make sure, so there was always a opening for,
If you all can assure us that that'll be kept in order, we're good. Okay?
thank you, and I just, sorry that I embarrassed you.
You didn't
by-
embarrass me.
By all the phone calls that,
And my jobs I've had on that wasn't nothing.
okay, but,
Judge,
anyway.
I'll make a motion to table this item until you and the city manager can get together and bring something back for the court to
Well, do
consider.
we need to table it or just bypass it and then he and I meet? What do you want to do?
Tabling it means
It gets reset again, so just, I can get
that
with the city
automatic?
manager.
If you table it, it gets reset on the next agenda?
That's technically the way it's supposed to go. Yes. So we just don't take any action on it.
Okay.
And if, allow me to get with the city manager and the mayor and council people, and by all means, we'll get it taken care of. It's gonna be okay. All right? You bet. All right, thank you
I'll
all.
rescind my motion.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, we move to agenda item number 14, discuss, take action. We have Brenda
Mayor.
Torino. Discuss, take action on seeking requests
luck
for
in office.
proposals for the Wilson County Hazardous Mitigation Plan.
Yes, so as you may recall, we were awarded money by the General Land Office to rewrite our hazard mitigation plan. We have prepared a draft and are working on finalizing that, but the notice of publication is scheduled to go out the week of May 22nd. We are planning a pre-bid conference on June the 3rd from 10 a.m. till noon here in this room. We will open bids on June the 10th with a tentative award date of July the 8th.
Before I entertain a motion, I'll wait till Commissioner Martin gets back from his bathroom break. I assume that's where he went. I can open it up for discussion if y'all want to talk to Mr. Vino about it. Is this the one that brought us, was working on?
That is correct.
Okay.
In his defense, he didn't know we were gonna move
Do what?
this fast.
I know.
Commissioner.
He's right.
This is the longest Commissioners Court we've had, I think, since we've
we're
all
not done.
started, so. All right. Okay. Have Commissioner Martin back with us. I will entertain a motion on agenda item number 14.
Judge, I make a motion that we go out for proposals for the Wilson County Hazardous Mitigation Plan.
Motion made by Commissioner Aiken, seconded by Commissioner Paradola. Is there a further discussion on agenda item number 14? Hear none, I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you, ma'am. Move to agenda item number 15. It should be Cindy Stafford, our Emergency Management Director, but it's going to be me. She's in training. Discuss, take action to request to go out for sealed bids. And Do you want to do that for us? Okay,
I
yeah,
have the
that'd be fine.
timeline if you'd like. me
Pursuant
Judge.
to 2 CFR 200.320B1 for the construction of the Emergency Operations Center. Commissioner Martin, we're finally there, aren't we?
We are there.
We're there. We're real close.
All right.
So I have the timeline for that, or to go out for bid is the notice of publication will go out the week of May the 20th. Commissioner Martin has, excuse me, asked for that publication to be placed in the San Antonio Express News. And so we have a deadline for that as well. So we will be needing to get that information from the engineer for the wording of that, so that we can get it advertised there as well as the Wilson County News. So once we get those publicized, there is a pre-bid conference scheduled for 9 a.m. on June the 12th. I did ask Commissioner Martin if that could be moved up a week earlier, as myself and Cindy Stafford will not be here on June the 12th, but I believe he emailed me this morning and
Yeah,
said we
and I
weren't.
said no because we need enough time to get it, review it, to know when they show up here what questions to ask, and then also for us to have time to respond to any questions that arise out of that meeting before the bids are due.
So that would only be my concern, that pre-bid conference without me or Cindy present, in case there's any questions, especially Cindy, because as it relates to emergency management. But other than that, because the tentative schedule is that we would open bids on June 24th, and then awarding bids at a time to be determined. Now, just keep in mind, we are on this timeline so that by December 31st, we have a contract in place. It doesn't mean the work has to be completed, but we have to have a contract in place for the use of the American Rescue Plan if we're going to use any funding from that.
You don't think we can get a contract in place before then? I mean, that's 7 months, 8 months? I mean, we'd have it in place before then, right?
No, she's just saying that we'll have it in place.
Just going to beat that December 31st deadline.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so we also, because I'd really need to have our emergency management coordinator here as well. Are you saying that date is not something that
That's
Cindy can make?
Dependent on Commissioner Martin, I believe. I believe she's in a training that entire week, and so I suggested either the week before or the week after, but I think pushing it the week after is pushing the deadline, and I think if I understand him correctly, pushing it a week early is not enough time to,
Okay, so what's the solution here? Because I need to have her here for that.
I would
The only
recommend,
solution really is to delay everything
right,
2 to
just to
3
push
weeks or
another.
whatever it takes. We'd have to rework
I would
the
recommend,
schedule.
if
We've been-
that's the case,
We've
then
been
we
on
push
2 years
everything.
now. What's 3 weeks?
Yeah. I mean, we certainly can. We can push it to, push the timeline out till the next court, so everything would be pushed by 2 weeks.
That's my wishes, Commissioners. I just think we need to
I
have
think both of
Ms.
you have to
Stafford
be
here.
here.
Yes.
So push the timeline out 2 weeks.
That's fine. Right now, really, I just need your permission to go out for bid, so I can come back to the court with those dates, but if I can get your permission to go out so that we can start working with the engineer to,
Very good.
for the wording of the advertisement. We can still get it posted and all of that, and then plug down the days. But yes, I agree. I mean, I would like to be here, but more importantly, I think it's important that Cindy's here.
Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion on the agenda item number 15.
I'll make a motion to go out for bids for the EOC pursuant to 2 CFR 200-320.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, seconded by Commissioner Aiken. Do we have any other discussion on agenda item number 15? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, ayes have it, motion passes. Agenda item number 16, we have Commissioner Russell King, Precinct 2, discuss and take action on receiving large pipe of 5 by 25 donated from Atascosa County.
Atascosa did not put this on their agenda, so I would like to just remove this until they do that.
Okay, so we'll bypass 16 with no action. Agenda item number 17, we have Commissioner King, Precinct 2, discuss, take action on utilizing the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality Emissions Reduction Plan grant program for a new maintainer.
So I have a maintainer, a 2000 model maintainer. Right now, it costs a lot, obviously, to keep that thing up and running. And with this TURP program coming out, it'll save a lot of money if this does happen. So they're willing to, right now, that TURP program is roughly about $200,000 just for that maintainer. And with what we're paying right now, that's a significant amount of a reduction of what we'd have to pay as a county for a new maintainer.
So you're gonna, under the TURP program, you're gonna scrap that blade or what?
You gotta knock a hole in the block.
Okay.
So it cannot run anymore, and then it's basically just iron.
Okay.
It's real procedurally dense.
Yes.
And the grant folks know how to do it.
And
Right.
We did the grants with all of our trucks.
Supporting stuff is what's really.
Yes.
This is the same grant as
Dump trucks.
dump trucks, the
It's a
Volkswagen.
little different. That was the Volkswagen deal.
Settlement deal, but
The TURP
same program, just different source of
basically
funding.
Different equipment.
So,
I'll make a motion that we approve Commissioner King to pursue the TURP program to purchase a new maintainer.
Second.
everybody.
Motion made by Commissioner Paradola, and I'm gonna give it to Commissioner Aiken on the second. Any other discussion on 17?
I want to commend you. Of course, we would have all liked to have taken advantage of the program, but it wasn't announced, and you're going to save the county a lot of money.
We have any other discussion?
It wasn't available,
It was not available whenever we were,
did ours.
yeah.
All right, hearing none, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Ayes have it, motion passes. We move to agenda item number 18. Pursuant to section 551.071 through section 551.076 of the Texas Government Code, the court reserves the right to go in executive session to discuss business concerning a personnel issue. I'll entertain a motion for us to go into executive session.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Aiken, seconded by Commissioner Paradola. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes. We will go into executive session and we'll recess from normal session and return back as soon as we're through.
11:47.
Time is 11:46.
Judge, do you need to announce who's going into session?
Yes, I need Mr. Trevino and Mr. Bodiford and our county attorney.